Chapter 1450. Xiaohua was very relieved. Just as he was about to leave, he heard Ling Jingyi call out to him. Wait, Xiaohua, don't you want to know who I am? Xiaohua's heart jumped, and he smiled apologetically. Junior has already asked for Senior Shue's name, but Senior Shue avoided answering. But Xiaohua, Xiaohua, I have already said the name of Misty Mountain. Don't tell me you still don't know? Ling Jingyi laughed. Xiaohua was indeed confused and he said, Junior really doesn't know, it's really rude, please enlighten me, Senior Shue. I'll let fellow Daoist Xiao know. My uncle is the family head of Misty Mountain, surnamed Ling and given name Jingyi. Fellow Daoist must remember. Shue also covered her mouth and laughed. This, Senior Ling Jr. knows. Xiaohua was a bit embarrassed. All right, I stopped you not just to let you know my name. Ling Jingyi said mysteriously. I have a good thing to give you. Xiaohua didn't dare to believe it, and he said with a smile. Junior doesn't dare to have extravagant hopes. Senior, if you have something to say, there's no harm in saying it. Ling Jingyi patted his storage bag, and there was a large seal magic tool and a small book. He handed it over, and he said with a smile, because of fellow Daoist Xiao, my Misty Mountain obtained a lot of benefits in this auction, so I can't thank you. This magic tool and the refining method are for you. You can carefully study it after you reach foundation establishment. Uncle, you this. Shue saw the magic tool in Ling Jingyi's hand, and she immediately turned pale with fright. How can you give this thing away? Xiaohua's heart trembled, and he immediately withdrew his hand, waving it and said, Junior really doesn't dare to accept such a precious thing. Senior, please take back your order. Shue, or this isn't the magic tool you think it is. Ling Jingyi patted his storage bag and took out an identical magic tool and said with a smile, the one you gave Xiaohua is a fake. However, the power of this fake is also not small. If Xiaohua can successfully refine it, it will be a great help to him. But Shue was still somewhat puzzled, but she didn't say anything more. Counterfeit. Xiaohua looked at the magic tool and muttered in his heart for a while. He reached out to receive it and put it into his storage bag. He bowed and thanked. Many thanks for Senior Ling's kindness. This is how a man should behave. Daring and daring. Ling Jingyi was very happy. Patting Xiaohua's shoulder, he said, if one day you succeed in refining this fake, you might as well come to my Misty Mountain again. At that time, this old man's thoughts might also change. As he spoke, he glanced at Shue. How could Xiaohua not know what Ling Jingyi meant? He cupped his hands and said, Junior, who knew that Ling Jingyi's expression changed slightly, and he patted Xiaohua's shoulder and said, all right, don't say any words of thanks and explanations. You should quickly go and cultivate properly. Once you have successfully built your foundation, you can come back to Misty Mountain to look for Shue. Seeing Ling Jingyi asking him to leave, Xiaohua also stood up and said with a smile, then this Junior will be leaving. All right, go ahead. Ling Jingyi said kindly, however, if it's possible, don't use the teleportation portal. Yinyuan City will do something that will be detrimental to you. Yes, this Junior understands. Xiaohua couldn't wait to leave. After cupping his hands, he flew up into the air. First, he slowly flew away. When he felt that there was no longer any divine sense locking onto him, he immediately activated all the magic power in his body and quickly flew away. Uncle, why is this? Shue waited for Xiaohua's figure to disappear and immediately asked, that magic tool, it should be from Phoenix Ridge's Pooh family, right? Even if Xiaohua has indirectly helped my Misty Mountain, but letting him live is enough to make up for it. Why did you give him such a valuable magic tool? Ling Jingyi's face darkened and he scolded. Other than you and me, only the heavens and earth know about this matter. You absolutely cannot let anyone else know. And from now on, never mention it again. Shue didn't understand, but she still nodded and said, yes, this niece understands. Just as Shue's voice fell, a divine sense swept over. From afar, a cultivator in a rather sorry state flew out. That cultivator's hair bun was loose and crooked. The Taoist robe on his body had some burn marks, and even some holes. However, that cultivator didn't care about this. Instead, his face was filled with panic. His divine sense swept around, And when he saw Ling Jingyi and Xue Xue, his face was somewhat happy. He flew down and immediately shouted, "Ling Jingyi, quickly return this old man's magic tool." This cultivator was none other than Phoenix Ridge's Pu Jianyuan, who was chasing the 5th grade fire ape with Ling Jingyi. "Io, Pu Jianyuan, you're greedy and insatiable. You vainly tried to take the 5th grade fire ape as your spiritual pet, but you didn't expect that because the fire ape's cultivation level was too high, your magic tool that was specially designed to restrain the fire ape lost its effect. You were sent flying by the fire ape and you couldn't find it yourself. Why did you come to find I to denounce me?" Ling Jingyi mocked and ridiculed. "I only had self-awareness and escaped a step earlier. How could I take your magic tool?" If the magic tool wasn't with you, if you didn't imprison the magic tool, why couldn't I sense it? In the cultivation world of the country of Shi, other than fellow Taoist Ling, who else could have such understanding of I's magic tool? How could Pu Jianyuan believe him? Ling Jingyi didn't back down and said curiously, "Of course it's possible for I." However, could it be that fellow Taoist Pu has forgotten about the fire ape? Or other gold core stage seniors? Pu Jianyuan's face slightly changed and he unconsciously pondered. "How about this, fellow Taoist Pu? If you don't believe me, I will make a heart oath." Ling Jingyi smiled and said, "If I, Ling Jingyi, take Pu Jianyuan's magic tool now, I, Ling Jingyi, will be stuck in the early stage of foundation establishment in this lifetime, and will not be able to advance in the slightest." Hee. What if fellow Taoist hid the magic tool somewhere? Pu Jianyuan sneered. "Oh, if I, Ling Jingyi, take Pu Jianyuan's magic tool and hide it somewhere, I, Ling Jingyi, will be stuck in the early stage of foundation establishment in this lifetime, and will not be able to advance in the slightest," Ling Jingyi said without hesitation. "If you don't hide it somewhere, can't you let someone else hide it?" Pu Jianyuan looked at Xue Xue beside Ling Jingyi, and his gaze fell on the storage bag on Xue Xue's waist. Hee, fellow Taoist Pu, you still don't believe me?" Ling Jingyi laughed and said, "If I, Ling Jingyi, take Pu Jianyuan's magic tool and give it to my Ling family's disciple for safekeeping, I, Ling Jingyi, will be stuck in the early stage of foundation establishment in this lifetime, and will not be able to advance in the slightest." This seeing Ling Jingyi so resolute and without hesitation, Pu Jianyuan thought for a moment and sighed. Then, "I really misunderstood fellow Taoist Ling. Please forgive me." It's fine. Ling Jingyi laughed and said, "Previously I didn't know the relationship between my Misty Mountain and Flying Phoenix Ridge, and only thought that you were an ordinary fellow Taoist. But looking at your family's magic tool, and the secret of this fire ape, if you say that our families have nothing to do with each other, I'm afraid that I will be the first to disagree." "Isn't that so? I also lost my mind at that time, and wanted to take fellow Taoist Ling's magic tool. Hee, who would have thought that it was actually a flood that washed into the Dragon King temple? I really deserve to die." Pu Jianyuan cupped his hands and said, "Ignorance is not a crime." Ling Jingyi returned the salute. "Our families still need to get closer in the future. Maybe there will be even more amazing discoveries. Not to mention anything else, just if we can subdue this fire ape, Flying Phoenix Ridge and Misty Mountain, we'll definitely be able to spread throughout the country of Shi." Pu Jianyuan laughed, but then his face became sad again. "I still need to hurry and find that family's magic tool. This thing really involves too many things. I can't not look for it." "But, fellow Taoist Pu, don't you want to go down and take a look?" Ling Jingyi pointed at the hole in the ground and suggested. This Pu Jianyuan hesitated again, thought for a moment and said, "Since that's the case, why not go down and take a look?" "Then who will go down first?" Ling Jingyi scratched his head and said, "Fellow Taoist Ling, go down first." Pu Jianyuan was very humble, which was rare. "Forget it, fellow Taoist Pu just lost his magic tool. I will let fellow Taoist Pu go down first." Ling Jingyi thought for a moment and shook his head. "Really?" Pu Jianyuan asked with a smile. "Of course, fellow Taoist Pu, please." Ling Jingyi raised his hand and said, "However, there may be restrictions in the cave. Fellow Taoist must be careful." "Well said. I will open the way for fellow Taoist Ling." Pu Jianyuan laughed, clapped his hands, and a fiery red flying sword appeared in his hand, and flew into the cave with the sword. Shui, it's dangerous inside, you wait here. Ling Jingyi ordered. Yes, uncle. Then Ling Jingyi followed Pu Jianyuan into the cave. Not long after, Ling Jingyi and Pu Jianyuan flew out of the cave. Ling Jingyi was unharmed, but Pu Jianyuan was in a mess. Looking at Ling Jingyi's expressionless face, Shui knew that the two of them had found nothing. But then again, this was where the fire ape was sealed. How could there be any treasures? Uncle Shui whispered. Go to the mountain peak and send out a signal to gather the disciples. We are going to go back. Ling Jingyi waved his hand and said to Shui. Yes, Shui flew to the mountain peak next to the basin. What should we do here? Ling Jingyi pointed and asked Pu Jianyuan. Mo Guang from Yinyuan City died here. Yinyuan City will definitely come looking for him. Also, we caused too much of a commotion when we broke the array. In a few days there will be people coming. Instead of letting people guess, why don't we do nothing? There's nothing here anyway, so we don't have to worry about people finding out. Brother Pu's thinking is very meticulous. We'll do as you say. Ling Jingyi cupped his hands and said. I will bring the disciples back now. What about you, Brother Pu? Cough, of course, I still have to go look for a magical item. You can go first. Pu Jianyuan said awkwardly. Alright, then I will go first. We'll meet again later. Ling Jingyi cupped his hands and said goodbye. He flew to the mountain peak and sat down cross-legged, waiting for the disciples to gather. Looking at Ling Jingyi's back, Pu Jianyuan's brows furrowed tightly. He thought to himself strangely, could it be that my magic item really wasn't taken by this fellow? Chapter 1451. Xiaohua left the basin. At first he didn't dare to fly at full speed. He only flew at the speed of a 4th-layer qi refining cultivator. After flying for a while, he sensed that there was no divine sense following him. Immediately he mustered up his magic power and activated the flying talisman. He quickly flew in the direction he came from. Even when his magic power was exhausted, he didn't dare to stop. He threw a clear fragrance pill into his mouth and refined the medicinal power of the pill. At the same time, he continued to circulate his magic power. When the flying talisman lost its effect, he changed it again. It seemed that he didn't dare to delay. After flying for a day and a night, Xiaohua finally stopped. He identified the direction and immediately changed his direction. Flying in an unrelated direction 2 days later, Xiaohua arrived at a mountain range that was also scarlet red. Xiaohua didn't dare to stay outside for too long. He found a dry cave and drilled his head into it. He used a huge rock to seal the cave entrance and sat on the ground. His eyes focused on his nose focused on his heart, and his heart focused on cultivating. Xiaohua had taken a lot of clear fragrance pills in the magma lake. There was a lot of medicinal power in his meridians that hadn't been refined. It was the same on the way here. At this time, he already felt that his meridians were somewhat blocked. Xiaohua circulated his true qi through his meridians several times in a row, refining all of the remaining medicinal energy. Only then did he stand up, patted his storage pouch, and took out the magical tool and small book that Ling Jingyi gave him. After carefully looking at it for a long time, Xiaohua didn't see anything wrong with it. However, Ling Jingyi was a foundation establishment cultivator. How could Xiaohua see through what he was doing? However, Xiaohua wasn't afraid at all. With a wave of his hand, the magic tool and small book were both placed into the space. Anxiously, Xiaohua pushed away the huge rock that was blocking the entrance of the cave, and flew out of the cave. He didn't stop to rest and flew in another direction. This flight took more than a few days. He was already far away from that scarlet red mountain rock. On this day, seeing that the sky was already dark, Xiaohua's figure stopped in midair, and looked around with some hesitation. Needless to say, this guy must have lost his way and doesn't know where to fly. Xiaohua originally remembered the direction to Shihuang town, but because he wanted to set up a maze to prevent Ling Jingyi and the others from finding him, he flew around randomly. At first his mind was clear, but after a few times he became confused. He didn't know if he had shaken them off or not, but he couldn't find the direction to Shihuang town anymore. Looking at the sky and the surrounding terrain, Xiaohua landed on the ground and found a place with water to rest. Just as he drank 2 mouthfuls of water and lay on the ground to look at the darkening sky, the sound of something breaking through the air came from not far away. Io, could it be that the disciples of Ling Jingyi's sect are chasing after us? Xiaohua was shocked. He quickly got up from the ground and hid his body among the vines beside the stream. Just as Xiaohua hid well, a 7th-layer qi refining cultivator landed on a tree not far away. His figure gradually rose and fell, then gradually came to a stop and became one with the night sky. This person seems to be a disciple of Flying Phoenix Mountain Range. Xiaohua saw clearly and thought to himself, he's following that clan master Pu from Flying Phoenix Mountain Range. Looking at his appearance, he's not chasing after me, but instead waiting for someone. Sure enough, after waiting for nearly an hour, a similar figure also flew over from the night sky. That figure hadn't even landed on the ground when a voice came. Senior brother Pu Chi, this is a sensitive time. Why are you in such a hurry to send a message? If it wasn't for this little brother's vigilance, I'm afraid that Ling Yan would have already seen through me. Ling Yan? That guy always thinks he's smart and thinks that he's the only smart person in the world. How could he discover our situation? How could he know that Ling Chongya should be called Pu Chongya? The cultivator called Pu Chi chuckled. Don't say so many useless things. What's the matter? This little brother still has to hurry back. If Ling Jingyi were to find out, wouldn't he skin this little brother alive? The cultivator who called Ling Chongya hurriedly asked. This guy, he was transported here together with me and Kai Wuxia. He's one of those 3 cultivators. He's actually a disciple of the Ling clan? Oh, that's not right. He should be a disciple of the Pu clan. Xiaohua suddenly realized. Skin my ass. Didn't you see that the Ling clan's inherited magic tool is so similar to our Pu clan's? What's the relationship between our Pu clan and the Ling clan? Maybe in the future, the Ling clan and the Pu clan will be one. Why would he skin you? Pu Chi curled his lips and said. Pu Chi was just casually saying this, but when Xiaohua heard it, it was like a bolt from the blue. He thought of Ling Jingyi's appearance when he took his magic tool, and Shue's extremely surprised expression. Could it be the magic tool in my space? Sure enough, he heard Ling Chongya wave his hand and say, that's a matter for the future. Who knows what will happen to the 2 clans in the end? That's right. Why did senior brother call me here? Oh, has there been any abnormalities in the Ling clan recently? No, there hasn't been any movement. Isn't it just that they weren't able to subdue the fire ape, and even killed Yinyuan City's Mo Guang? Does Ling Jingyi not know how to deal with Yinyuan City? Right now, he's racking his brains on how to pass through Shihuang Town's transportation array. Then are there any other abnormalities? Other abnormalities? It's nothing much, like Ling Jingyi's niece Shui. She's going to some sect to participate in the disciple selection? Of course, this was something that happened before coming to Shihuang Town. Io, senior brother, what are you saying? Since you're asking me, why are you still hesitating? Could it be that you don't trust me anymore? Ling Chongya asked curiously. This Pu Chi coughed a few times and lowered his voice saying, Clan head said it clearly, this matter. It's fine as long as I know. But, if I don't tell you, how are you going to investigate? However, little brother, you have to keep your mouth shut, don't say anything. Senior brother Pu Chi, don't worry, what do I do? How can I leak it so easily? Ling Chongya patted his chest and laughed. It's like this. Pu Chi recounted the incident where Pu Jinyuan's magic tool was sent flying by the fire ape. Although he didn't explain it clearly, he explained it clearly. What? Clan head's family heirloom magic tool was actually sent flying by the fire ape? How is this possible? Ling Chongya cried out involuntarily. At that time, Clan head and Ling Jingyi both used the magic tool to subdue the fire ape. Isn't this magic tool the fire ape's nemesis? How could it be sent flying by the fire ape instead? Pu Chi's face became anxious and he whispered, Little brother, lower your voice. Hee, senior brother, what's there to be afraid of? Aren't all the cultivators of the Flame Forest Swamp heading towards the basin? Who would still be here? Ling Chongya said nonchalantly, but then his face became envious. That fire ape is a 5th-grade spiritual beast, comparable to the Golden Core stage. If I could use the magic tool to subdue it, wouldn't I? Be able to directly slap Ling Jingyi to death? You could even slap Sun Yunzi to death. Pu Qi sneered. Clan head's cultivation is at the foundation establishment stage, and he couldn't even subdue it with the fire ape's soul-capturing magic tool. What are you, a mere Qi refinement stage brat, dreaming about? You'd better hurry back and find out where Ling Jingyi hid that magic tool. I'm not a direct disciple of Misty Mountain. How could I know such a secret? Besides, Ling Jingyi took Clan Head's magic tool and refined it long ago. How could he have kept it until now? I don't know. Clan Head knows that the magic tool hasn't been refined yet, so he only told me to ask you. Pu Qi shrugged. I understand. If there's any news, I'll immediately send 1,000 miles voice transmission to senior brother. Ling Chongya nodded and said, Then I'll take my leave. Go. Be careful. The family head is very appreciative of what you did in the Flame Forest Mountains. He will reward you handsomely. However, because our Flying Phoenix Ridge is one step ahead of Misty Mountain, he was afraid of exposing you, so he didn't let me bring you this time. Thank you for your kindness, Clan Head. I'll do anything for Flying Phoenix Ridge. Good. I'll definitely bring these words to Clan Head, Pu Qi said with a smile. Then I'll take my leave. In the past few days, I've received news from Shihuang Town that Yinyuan City has sent experts to keep watch. All cultivators who want to use the transportation array have to open all of their storage pouches and check them. I think that if Ling Jingyi took Clan Head's magic tool, he'll definitely think of a way to bring it back. Let's hurry and take a look. I'll leave everything to you. Pu Qi cupped his hands and sent him off. Then the two of them flew off in different directions. After they flew off for about half the time it takes to brew a cup of tea, Xiaohua came out from the vines not far away. He sensed the movements in his surroundings and also flew into the air to chase after Ling Chongya. Xiaohua flew in the air and thought to himself, Good heavens! What magic tool is this? It really is Flying Phoenix Ridge's family heirloom magic tool, and it's actually extraordinary. This Ling Jingyi is really something. He only met me a few times and already gave me the magic tool. Of course, it's to avoid Pu Jianyuan, but isn't that too reckless? How did he know that I would definitely return it to him? However, this magic tool, it's actually some kind of soul-capturing magic tool that can subdue a 5th-grade fire ape? Damn it, since it's a fat piece of meat that's delivered itself to my doorstep, how can I just spit it out? Wait until I refine this magic tool and subdue the fire ape. Then I'll kill everyone from 100 Herb Sect. Xiaohua thought as he flew. After flying for an hour, he suddenly stopped in the air. Io, how did I become so stupid? Needless to say, that Ling Jingyi must have sent people to guard Shihuang Town's transportation array and wait for me to use it. Or maybe he's also sent people to wait for me at Yinyuan City's transportation array. How can I just walk right into their trap? Moreover, Yinyuan City actually wants to check my storage pouch. I can't just put Kai Zhuoxia's corpse in the space behind my head, right? Oh, I forgot. I've been in a hurry these past few days and haven't made a coffin with Kai Zhuoxia yet. While thinking, Xiaohua descended from the air and found a large, straight tree. He pushed it into a very rough coffin that was carved out using the flying sword talisman. After placing Kai Zhuoxia's corpse inside, Xiaohua made up his mind. He definitely can't go to Shihuang Town, and naturally can't use the transportation array. Then he can only fly directly to Yinyuan City. Chapter 1452. A month later, in front of the city gates of Yinyuan City, a tall and thin cultivator with a cultivation of the middle 4th layer descended from the sky. He stood outside the city gates and calmly stared at Yinyuan City. This cultivator was Xiaohua. Xiaohua had already made up his mind not to use Shihuang Town's teleportation array, and to rely solely on himself to fly to Yinyuan City. He was not in a hurry along the way. He cultivated during the day and flew at night. After consuming about 60 clean lotus pellets and a month of bitter cultivation, he finally raised his cultivation to the middle of the 4th layer of qi refining. Sigh, this cultivation is really not an ordinary level of difficulty. Xiaohua looked at Yinyuan City in the distance and thought to himself, when I was in the 2nd and 3rd layer, I felt like I could easily break through. Why did it become so hard when I reached the 4th layer? If it's like this, then wouldn't it be even harder to reach the 5th layer and beyond? It seems like, even with the purifying lotus pills and Giji pills, it would still take a long time to reach the late stage of qi refining. I have to think of a way. AI, no matter what, I'm still alive. Since I'm alive, I can naturally cultivate. Wuxia. Even if she wants to cultivate, she won't have the chance. The city gates of Yenyuan City are still open and the cultivators entering and leaving are still bustling. But who would know that the female cultivator who came here a month ago is no longer alive? I should hurry and find someone to ask where Luyang is. Sending Wuxia's body back is the right thing to do. Wuxia only said that she could use Yenyuan City's transportation formation to return to Luyang. I wonder if there's a transportation formation in Luyang. Xiaohua thought and was about to step forward, but just as he lifted his leg he hesitated. The disciples of Misty Mountain have already returned to Yenyuan City. That Ling Jingyi's eyes and ears must be everywhere in Yenyuan City. If I go in, wouldn't I be walking right into a trap? After thinking for a moment, Xiaohua looked around and saw that there was no one around. He took out the demonic robe and put it on. Only then did he dare to walk into Yenyuan City. Once Xiaohua entered Yenyuan City, he didn't go anywhere. He headed straight for the teleportation array at the city's central plaza. At this time, the courtyard of the transmission array seemed to be a lot stricter than it was a month ago. Not only did the number of city guards in front of the gate double, there were also a lot more cultivators faintly standing by the side. Moreover, just as Xiaohua walked to the side of the city guards, a few divine senses immediately swept over him, scrutinizing Xiaohua from head to toe. Xiaohua's brows wrinkled slightly. How would they know who he was if he was dressed like a fan? What's the use of looking at it? Fellow Taoist, do you want to use the teleportation array? A city guard looked at Xiaohua vigilantly and cupped his hands. And this old man is going to use the teleportation formation. Do I need to make an appointment to register? Xiaohua asked in a hoarse voice. Of course, the city guard said. However, today is not the same as before. You must take off your disguise and enter the teleportation formation with your original appearance. Why is that? Xiaohua's heart trembled as he asked curiously. This is a matter of Yenyuan City. Since the city lord has given the order, I can only comply. If you want to use the teleportation formation of Yenyuan City, you can only enter with your original appearance. This Xiaohua hesitated for a moment. At this time, a 7th stage qi refining cultivator came forward and handed a token to another city guard. He smiled and said, I am a disciple of the 7 Skills sect, currently working at the weaponry workshop. I have received orders from the shopkeeper to leave Yenyuan City. I hope fellow Taoists can accommodate me. Please wait a moment. The city guard took the token and poured his spiritual energy into it. He shook it twice on top of a round ball and handed it back. He smiled and said, Fellow Taoist, please, many thanks. The cultivator took the token and walked straight in. Fellow Taoist, you don't need to make an appointment? Xiaohua asked curiously. The city guard looked at Xiaohua strangely and smiled. Every shop in Yenyuan City has a token issued by Yenyuan City. With this token, you can teleport without making an appointment. If fellow Taoist had this token, you wouldn't have to take me Huan. I see, I understand. Xiaohua smiled and turned to leave. Where could he go to get this so-called token? Knowing it was the same as not knowing. Seems like I can only fly directly to Luyang. Xiaohua made up his mind and began to inquire about Luyang's whereabouts. Fortunately, although Luyang was a small place, there were still people who knew about it. Xiaohua only needed to drink a few cups of spirit wine in a restaurant and tip the waiter with a piece of low-grade spirit stone to clearly find out where Luyang was. However, when he found out where Luyang was, his brows furrowed even more. Luyang was a town, so it was further away than Shihuang Town. There were no teleportation formations near Luyang Town, so he could only go to a place called Linyu Town and fly there directly. Between Yenyuan City and Linyu Town, there was a dangerous place called the Sunrise Mountain Range. That place was extremely dangerous. If one was not a high-stage qi refining cultivator, it was impossible to fly through it safely. This is going to be difficult. Xiaohua smiled bitterly. If we want to pass through the Sunrise Mountain Range, we can only go around it. I'm afraid that this detour will take several months, and who knows how many dangers there are. How about, we don't rush to Luoyang? It won't be too late to go after the commotion in Yinyuan City passes. Xiaohua made up his mind. He drank a mouthful of spiritual wine, and took out a low-grade spiritual stone to pay the bill. At this moment, he saw a cultivator coming in from outside the restaurant. Oh, isn't this shopkeeper Fu? You haven't been here for the past few days. When the waiter saw the cultivator, he hurriedly greeted him with a smile. Isn't this shopkeeper Fu from the Fu clan's talisman shop, Fuingmin? Xiaohua saw clearly. I had some matters to attend to these past few days, so I didn't have time to come. Fuingmin smiled as she looked around. Her eyes swept past Xiaohua's body. Then she casually found a seat and sat down. Waiter, quickly bring 2 pots of your Linhua jade liquid. This poor Taoist has been missing it for the past few days. Look at what shopkeeper Fu said. If you like it, you can just ask the shop's disciples to come and get it. Why do you have to trouble yourself? As the waiter spoke, he trotted over and brought 2 jade bottles from the back. Fu Yingmin poured the spiritual wine from the jade bottle into a jade cup and took a sip. She smiled bitterly and said, My Fu clan's elders came over these past few days and selected a few disciples that they want to recruit. I carefully accompanied them. How could I be greedy for food? Hee, so the Fu clan's shop is recruiting disciples. The waiter smiled and said, This matter has been going on for many days. Why haven't you found anyone suitable? Isn't that right? I have also found more than 10 disciples. In addition to the ones I've found in the past few days, I'm afraid there are more than 20. But, either their cultivation level is not high enough or their talisman crafting skills are not good enough. None of them are suitable. Fu Yingmin drank a few more cups before letting out a long sigh. She looked around and said in a low voice, If I can't recruit enough disciples for the Fu clan before I retire to the Fu clan, I'm afraid that the elder's position will fly away. Oh, then shopkeeper Fu will have to be more careful. The waiter served by the side and asked very considerately, There are so many cultivators coming and going in and out of Yinyuan City. Why haven't you met any of them? There are a few suitable ones, but they either think that my Fu clan is not strong enough or they have other things to do and don't have the time for now. The day is coming and I still can't find a suitable disciple to return to the Fu clan. This really makes I anxious. Xiaohua's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. If he could join the Fu clan, he would definitely have to leave Yinyuan City in a short period of time. He just had to find an excuse to go to Luoyang City, and it would not take much time. Furthermore, if he joined the Fu clan, he could cultivate in peace and learn how to craft talismans. Wouldn't this be the best of both worlds? Therefore, Xiaohua was not in a hurry to pay the bill. He sat nearby and slowly tasted the spirit wine while listening to the waiter and Fu Yingmin talk about the situation in Yinyuan City. It turned out that after the huge commotion in the Flaming Forest Marsh attracted the attention of Shihuang Town, many cultivators went to check it out. At the same time, the news spread extremely quickly and many cultivators came to Shihuang Town through the transportation array in Yinyuan City and other places. The city guards of Yinyuan City naturally received the news and went to Shihuang Town. However, Mo Guang, who was in charge of the transportation array, was killed by the fire ape. Without Mo Guang's control of the transportation array, one could only enter and not leave. This naturally caused the city lord of Yinyuan City to be furious, and he sent many city guards, elders and worshippers to Shihuang Town. Ling Jingyi and Pu Jianyuan did not hide the cave and magma in the basin of the Flaming Forest Marsh. Naturally, it was easily discovered by others. Some people said it was the birth of a treasure, some said it was the escape of a spirit beast, some said it was a tribulation. In short, there were many different theories. Of course, Yinyuan City could also find out that the disciples of Flying Phoenix Ridge and Misty Mountain had been to Shihuang Town. However, Ling Jingyi and Pu Jianyuan had completely pushed the matter away, leaving Yinyuan City with no choice. In this month, who knew how many cultivators had gone to Shihuang Town through the transportation array? Who knew how many battles there had been, and how many cultivators had died? However, the cause of the incident had never been revealed. The cause of Mo Guang's death had always been a mystery. Therefore, Yinyuan City was also affected, and the transportation array was inspected even more strictly. It was almost like Shihuang Town, where even the storage pouches had to be opened to check. And so that's how it is. Xiaohua nodded inwardly. He understood in his heart that he had also used the teleportation array to go to Western Huang Town. This time, even if the disciples of Soaring Phoenix Ridge and Misty Mountain weren't present, he absolutely couldn't use his original appearance to enter the teleportation array. After a long while, Fu Yingmin finished drinking the spirit wine, paid the bill, and leisurely left. Xiaohua waited for a moment before paying the bill and leaving the restaurant. He was not in a hurry to go to the Fu Clan store. Instead, he found an inn to stay in. After waiting for another 2 days, and seeing that the transportation array was not lax in the slightest, he once again went to the Fu Clan's talisman store. Greetings, fellow Taoist. Do you have any yellow talismans you want to buy? Xiaohua did not wear his camouflage clothes. The moment he entered the store, a waiter greeted him. I am here to look for shopkeeper Fu. Fellow Taoist, please inform him on my behalf. Xiaohua smiled and cupped his hands. Oh, is that so? Fellow Taoist, this way please. The waiter smiled and raised his hand to invite Xiaohua to the second floor. Chapter 1453. Not long after, Fu Yingmin came down from the third floor. She was slightly stunned when she saw Xiaohua. Then, she came to her senses and looked him up and down with a strange look in her eyes. Shopkeeper Fu, do you still remember I? Xiaohua stepped forward and cupped his hands in greeting. Haha, fellow Taoist Xiao, please take a seat. It's only been a month since we last met. How could I forget? Fu Yingmin smiled and returned the greeting. She walked to a chair and sat down. Then she looked at Xiaohua with interest and said, Fellow Taoist Xiao, a month ago, you were only in the early 4th layer of the qi refining realm. In such a short time, you actually reached the middle 4th layer of the qi refining realm. This cultivation speed really makes me feel ashamed. Shopkeeper Fu is joking. Xiaohua sat down with a smile and said, This junior just had some good fortune in the past month. This little bit of cultivation. Haha, compared to the seniors, it's really not enough. It's nothing but a joke. Shopkeeper Fu didn't ask what kind of good fortune Xiaohua had. He took a sip of tea and asked, Then, fellow Taoist Xiao, why did you come to my shop this time? Seeing that shopkeeper Fu asked directly, Xiaohua didn't hide it anymore. He smiled and said, This junior did get some benefits during this time, but after thinking about it, being a loose cultivator is really difficult. I lack cultivation methods and medicinal pills. Moreover, I don't have any seniors to guide me. Therefore, I feel that what shopkeeper Fu said last time is reasonable. Therefore, I want to join the Fu clan, to practice the art of making talismans and become a talisman master. Haha, it's rare that fellow Taoist Xiao can understand. This old man is very gratified. Shopkeeper Fu obviously understood the purpose of Xiaohua's visit. He didn't seem surprised and said with a smile, However, in the past month, many loose cultivators have come to this old man's shop. Their aptitudes are also very good. Fellow Taoist Xiao, you've come a little late. Ah, it can't be. Shopkeeper Fu, didn't you say that it's suitable for anyone to come within half a year? Xiaohua asked anxiously. That was then and this is now. I didn't expect that my Fu clan's talisman crafting techniques would be so popular. In just a few days, more than 10 fellow Taoists have come. It's really tiring for me to select them one by one. I owe shopkeeper Fu this matter. I'll have to trouble you a lot. If this junior is able to join the Fu clan to practice the art of talisman crafting, I will definitely remember shopkeeper Fu's kindness. Xiaohua cupped his hands and said, AI, who asked this old man to promise you that day? I can only reluctantly put in a few good words for you in front of the elders. Fu Yingmin sighed and said, Elder? Xiaohua pretended to be surprised. Let me tell you, fellow cultivator Xiao, our Fu clan's guest elder Lu Yun is in charge of this selection. She'll be in Yinyuan City during this period of time. If you can win her favor, joining our Fu clan will be a piece of cake, Fu Yingmin said with a smile. Then I'll have to rely on Senior Fu to deal with him, Xiaohua said with a smile. Fellow Taoist Xiao, please follow this old man. Fu Yingmin stood up and said. However, just as Fu Yingmin was about to take a step, he suddenly thought of something and turned his head and said, Fellow Taoist Xiao, are you planning to join our Fu clan to become a talisman crafting master? Or are you planning to become a disciple? Xiaohua was confused and asked, what's the difference? Look at this old man, I'm really getting old. Previously, fellow Taoist Xiao didn't agree to join our Fu clan, so this old man forgot to explain this matter. Fu Yingmin slapped his forehead and said, It just so happens that Elder Lu Yun lives in the backyard. This old man will take you there and take the opportunity to explain it to you. Senior Fu, please. Xiaohua cupped his hands and said. Thus, Xiaohua followed Fu Yingmin down to the second floor and exited from a corner door on the first floor. They walked towards a small courtyard behind the building. During this process, Fu Yingmin explained the difference between a talisman crafting master and a disciple. Just as Wuxia said, the Fu clan first divided their disciples into two types. One was specialized in cultivation, and the other was specialized in crafting talismans. The Fu clan's descendants were specially trained according to their aptitude when they were still young. The disciples who specialized in cultivation were the same as the disciples of the cultivation sections. As long as they reached a certain level of cultivation, they would receive the corresponding cultivation techniques and elixirs. They would also receive guidance from the Fu clan seniors with profound cultivation. As for the disciples who specialized in crafting talismans, they would also start from the simplest talisman crafting techniques and gradually delve deeper. As long as it was possible, the Fu clan would provide them with high-grade talismans for them to practice. As for the disciples who did not share the surname of the Fu clan, they were generally classified as disciples who specialized in crafting talismans. These disciples were further divided into two types. One was the outer circle of talisman crafting masters, and the other was the disciple who specialized in crafting talismans. The so-called disciple who specialized in crafting talismans was the disciple who could inherit the techniques of crafting talismans in the Fu clan. This type of disciple could practice profound talisman crafting techniques, and they could even enter the ranks of the disciples who specialized in cultivating talismans. Of course, there was a price to pay, and that was to change their surname to Fu. For these disciples, the Fu clan would betroth some of the more beautiful women in the clan to them, and their descendants would naturally become the direct disciples of the Fu clan. Correspondingly, the outer circle of talisman crafting masters could only practice the art of crafting talismans. Moreover, after making a corresponding contribution to the Fu clan, they would be able to practice higher-level talisman crafting techniques. As for the Fu clan's cultivation techniques, perhaps those below the 4th level of qi refining could practice it, but those above the 5th level were practically impossible. Because of this, another strange phenomenon occurred. Since they could not practice higher-level cultivation techniques, then their talisman crafting skills would not be profound. The outer circle of talisman crafting masters could only leave the Fu clan, or join the ranks of the disciples in order to learn higher-level cultivation techniques. Of course, the Fu clan's way of crafting talismans was unique. There were many cultivators who already practiced cultivation techniques that joined the Fu clan to become talisman crafting masters and practice the art of crafting talismans. The goal of these cultivators was to become a guest elder of the Fu clan. These guest elders were also known as guest elders. They were different from the elders of the Fu clan. They could work for the Fu clan and craft talismans, but they would not risk their lives for the Fu clan. The Fu clan would also open up their talisman crafting techniques to these guest elders. Elder Lu Yun, who was currently in the backyard of the Fu clan's shop, was one of these guest elders. After listening to Fu Yingmin's explanation, Xiaohua finally understood why he was so impetuous. He only wanted to use this opportunity to join the Fu clan to learn the art of crafting talismans, and also use this opportunity to leave Yinyuan City. However, he never thought that the price he had to pay for joining the Fu clan was not small. He even had to change his surname to Fu. Fuhua, why does it sound so bad? Xiaohua naturally did not want to change his surname. He could only cup his hands and say, Junior. Thanks Senior Fu for the explanation. Junior will first become a talisman crafting master and contribute to the Fu clan. I will practice some talisman crafting techniques first. Fu Yingmin did not seem surprised and said with a smile, I understand fellow Taoist Zhao's thoughts. After all, I also went through this in the past. Xiaohua was stunned and said, Senior Fu is also not of the Fu clan's bloodline. Haha, if I was a direct descendant of the Fu clan, would I have been sent to Yinyuan City? Fu Yingmin said with a smile. However, if fellow Taoist Xiao wants to improve his cultivation or talisman crafting techniques, it is better for you to become a disciple of the Fu clan. Only a disciple of the Fu clan can receive the true teachings of the Fu clan. Hehe, the ladies of the Fu clan are also very good. Xiaohua was stunned and his stiff face twitched a few times. He looked at Fu Yingmin's smiling face and did not know what to say. Haha young man, what's there to be embarrassed about? Which lady of the Fu clan do you fancy? Just tell me, no matter what, you were selected by me. If you can become outstanding, I will also be proud. Fu Yingmin laughed again. Xiaohua muttered a few words. It was unknown whether he was thanking Fu Yingmin or something else. The two of them then went to the backyard. Shopkeeper Fu, is there a problem? Before Fu Yingmin could speak, a woman's voice came from a small building in the courtyard. The small building was very exquisite. It was under a luxuriant flowering tree. There were many thumb-sized light purple xiaohua blooming on the tree, emitting a simple but elegant fragrance. This fragrance and the exquisiteness of the small building complemented each other very well. It was very interesting. Reporting to Elder, I have brought another loose cultivator who wants to join the Fu clan. I hope that Elder can assess him. And thank you for your hard work, Shopkeeper Fu. The voice was somewhat lazy, but also somewhat crisp and pleasant to the ear. How should I address this fellow Taoist? Does he meet the requirements of my Fu clan? Junior's name is Xiaohua. I can refine fireball talismans and icicle talismans. I wonder if I can join the Fu clan? Xiaohua looked at Fu Yingmin and stepped forward with cupped hands. A woman in her 50s or 60s slowly walked out of the small building. Her brows were slightly wrinkled. She looked up and down at Xiaohua and said unhappily, although fellow Taoist Zhao's cultivation is at the 4th level of qi refining, but this level of cultivation is really nothing in my Fu clan. And you can only refine low-level fireball talismans and icicle talismans. This is still far from the requirements of my Fu clan. Elder Lu, Fu Yingmin at the side said with a smile, fellow Taoist Xiao is a loose cultivator. It is really rare for him to reach the middle level of the 4th level of qi refining at such a young age. Moreover, fellow Taoist Xiao came to the shop a month ago. At that time, he was only at the early level of the 4th level of qi refining. It has only been a few dozen days, but he can reach the middle level of the 4th level of qi refining. Of course, his aptitude is commendable. Even if he can only refine low-level talismans, there is still a lot of room for future development. This old man thinks that he still meets the requirements. Whether he meets the requirements or not, that is up to this elder to decide. Shopkeeper Fu, you should be more careful with your words. Lu Yun said with a cold smile. How? Elder Lu is the elder in charge of this examination. This old man is just afraid that my Fu clan will lose a pillar of talent. That is why I recommended him. Fu Yingmin glanced at Lu Yun and said, Xiaohua, refine an icicle talisman and let this elder take a look. Lu Yun said indifferently, this icicle talisman, Xiaohua naturally knew how to refine it. However, he used his hands and not a talisman brush. When he heard this, he could only take out a talisman brush, talisman paper and talisman ink. He thought about the process of drawing the icicle talisman in his heart. He took out the talisman brush, slowly activated his magic power, dipped it in talisman ink, and started drawing on the talisman paper. Chapter 1454. Fortunately, Xiaohua's cultivation was deep at this moment, his magic power was deep, and his control of magic power was becoming more and more precise. So even though he hadn't succeeded in refining the icicle talisman with the talisman brush in the past, he actually succeeded in one try today. It was a very successful refinement. Yes, not bad. Although fellow Taoist Zhao's strokes were a bit jerky, his control of magic power was smooth. He also remembered the runes clearly. Although the icicle talisman he refined was low grade, it was still valuable. Fu Yingmin clapped her hands and praised. Compared to the ones from a few days ago, it is indeed much better. Lu Yin sneered. But if you want to join the Fu clan. Oh right, Xiaohua, do you want to be a disciple or a peripheral talisman master? Junior hopes to be a peripheral talisman master. Xiaohua smiled. Oh, so it's like that. Lu Yin snorted and said. Then you can go back. Ah. Why? Xiaohua was surprised. Junior's icicle talisman. Didn't I successfully refine it? Lu Yin was a bit impatient and waved her hand. You are a loose cultivator at the 4th level of qi refining. Being able to refine a low-grade icicle talisman is indeed commendable. If your cultivation level increases, you will definitely be able to refine a middle grade, or even a high-grade icicle talisman. But don't forget that the reason why you can't refine a middle-grade icicle talisman is because your cultivation level is too low. As a loose cultivator, I'm afraid you only have a 4th level qi refining cultivation technique, right? You joined the Fu clan for a cultivation technique, right? But the peripheral talisman masters of the Fu clan can at most teach 5th level qi refining cultivation techniques. Even if you worked hard for the Fu clan for many years and refined many icicle talismans, but can you refine a high-grade icicle talisman? Rather than that, what's the point of joining the Fu clan? Elder Lu Yun's words were indeed reasonable. However, Fu Yingmin's expression changed again and she said with a smile, as a loose cultivator, living a difficult life in the cultivation world, how can it be as stable as the Fu clan? Perhaps fellow Taoist Xiao also has the same idea? No matter what, Xiaohua can only refine a low-grade icicle talisman. He does not meet the requirements. Lu Yun's expression did not change as she said indifferently. Xiaohua hurriedly added. Reporting to Elder Lu, this junior also knows how to refine fireball talismans, that's right. Xiaohua is able to refine both the icicle talisman and the fireball talisman. Being able to refine 2 types of yellow talismans at the same time is also rare and commendable. Fu Yingmin also echoed. TSK. Low-level yellow talismans. What's the point of refining 5 of them? Lu Yin said disdainfully. Xiaohua glanced at Fu Yingmin and didn't say anything else. He picked up the talisman brush and circulated his fa li. He dipped it in the talisman ink and started to draw the fireball talisman on the talisman paper. Lu Yun snorted and coldly looked at him. However, Xiaohua's brush flew like it was flying. He was extremely skilled and controlled his fa li very well. When a ka sound rang out and a middle-grade fireball talisman was successfully refined in midair, Lu Yun's eyes unconsciously flashed with a trace of astonishment. Elder Lu, I wonder if this middle-grade fireball talisman meets the requirements? Xiaohua handed over the newly refined fireball talisman and asked with a smile. Lu Yun took it and flipped it over a few times. She nodded and said, since this fireball talisman is a middle-grade talisman, it's also suitable. You can enter the Fu clan. However, if it's only this, Lu Yun didn't continue speaking. She handed the fireball talisman to Fu Yingmin and said, congratulations, shopkeeper Fu. You've finally completed this year's mission. Many thanks for Elder Lu's help. Fu Yingmin cupped his hands and smiled. Then he said to Xiaohua, why aren't you thanking Elder Lu? Xiaohua also cupped his hands. Thank you, Elder Lu. No need to thank me. Since you've chosen this path, then you must have a certain level of awareness. Either you can increase your cultivation like I, or you can be like shopkeeper Fu. Otherwise, you'll also have a mediocre life. Lu Yun waved her hand and said indifferently. Xiaohua's heart moved. He smiled and said, other than the fireball talisman and icicle talisman, this junior has also practiced a type of imprisonment talisman. What? You can also refine imprisonment talismans? Fu Yingmin's face showed joy. She didn't wait for Xiaohua to finish speaking and immediately asked. Xiaohua smiled and shook his head. Elder Fu really thinks too highly of this junior. This junior has obtained an incomplete method to refine imprisonment talismans. However, because I don't have the method to write the talisman, I haven't been able to successfully practice it. Refine it and let me see. Lu Yin was also interested. There was a trace of a smile at the corner of her mouth. Xiaohua didn't hold back. He dipped the talisman brush in talisman ink and drew the imprisonment talisman on the talisman paper. There was nothing to say about the drawing of the talisman and the control of his magic power. Xiaohua had already done it extremely well. However, when he was writing on the talisman paper flickered slightly. Great! Elder Lu Yin at the side clapped her hands and said, Xiaohua, I have to praise you. The fireball talisman and icicle talisman are just low-grade yellow talismans. If you have the method to refine them and have profound magic power, it would be easy to refine them. However, this imprisonment talisman is a high-grade yellow talisman. Without a deep understanding of talisman crafting, without a profound cultivation, and without a long period of cultivation, it would be impossible to successfully refine it. However, from my observation, the method you used to refine the imprisonment talisman is the same as the method you used to refine the fireball talisman and icicle talisman. Obviously, you have been immersed in it for many years. However, your cultivation isn't profound. I presume that you haven't received guidance from an experienced master like my Fu clan. For you to be able to refine this imprisonment talisman to this extent, it is really somewhat inconceivable. The imprisonment talisman is a high-grade yellow talisman. In my Fu clan, only a high-grade talisman master can refine it. If Xiaohua can refine it, hee. Fu Yingmin's eyes narrowed into slits. Lu Yin chuckled and nodded. I also have the same intention. Let the clan head take out the method to refine the imprisonment talisman, and let Xiaohua refine it. However, the imprisonment talisman is a high-grade yellow talisman. I'm afraid that only imparting disciples can get it, right? Fu Yingmin suddenly hesitated. Xiaohua only wants to be a peripheral talisman master. This is a bit difficult. These are matters for the clan head to worry about. Why are you and I thinking about this? Lu Yin smiled and patted her hand. From the storage bag at her waist, she took out a token and handed it to Fu Yingmin. Let Xiaohua take I's token back to Jinhua Mountain. I will send Xiaohua's situation to the clan head, and let him have a headache. Fu Yingmin smiled and took it, nodding. I will do as Elder Lu says. And Xiaohua, welcome to the Fu clan. Your cultivation is a bit shallow, but you still have talent in the art of talisman making. In the future, if you cultivate diligently, you will definitely be like I and become a guest elder. Thank you, Elder Lu, for your encouragement. Junior will definitely work hard. Xiaohua humbly bowed. Good. Lu Yin helped Xiaohua up and said to Fu Yingmin, I have finished my business here. I still have to rush to other places and will leave tomorrow morning. In addition, you should quickly arrange Xiaohua's matter. If he can refine the imprisonment talisman earlier, my Fu clan will have one more arm. Okay, I will immediately arrange it. Fu Yingmin smiled and left the small courtyard with Xiaohua. When they sat down on the second floor, Fu Yingmin clapped her hands and said, Xiaohua, I didn't expect that you would be able to refine the imprisonment talisman. Senior Fu, Junior hasn't successfully refined the imprisonment talisman yet? How can you say that I can refine it? Xiaohua quickly waved his hand. I can tell that you haven't been taught by a talisman master. Fu Yingmin smiled and said, the writing method of the talisman is just a technique to control the magic power. It can control the magic power in the talisman ink and condense it. It can't be considered too profound. The difficulty of refining the imprisonment talisman lies in the talisman inscriptions and the understanding of the talisman crafting. When I practiced refining the imprisonment talisman, I had to memorize the talisman inscriptions for 2 whole years. Even so, when I refine the imprisonment talisman now, I only have a 30% chance of success. So little. Xiaohua frowned. He rarely failed in refining. These are all distant words. Let's not talk about them first. Fu Yingmin waved her hand and handed over the keepsake Lu Yin gave to Xiaohua and asked, Xiaohua, when are you going to Jinhua Mountain? Xiaohua heard and probed. Jinhua Mountain is where the Fu clan is located? Where is it? Ah. Ha ha ha. Fu Yingmin laughed loudly and said, Xiaohua, you are making me laugh to death. Jinhua Mountain is where the Fu clan is located. Since you know how to refine yellow talismans, how can you not know where the famous talisman crafting family in Xi is? I'm ashamed. Xiaohua blushed with shame. Since you don't know where Jinhua Mountain is, then it's fine. I will send a disciple to send you there. Don't, Xiaohua quickly said. Junior still has some matters to attend to. I want to take care of them first before going to Jinhua Mountain. Then how long do you need? Fu Yingmin was somewhat displeased. Hee, but Senior knows that if I use the teleportation array, I'm afraid it will only take 1 or 2 days. Where are you going? Fu Yingmin asked. Xiaohua hesitated for a moment and said, Linyu Town. Linyu Town? Fu Yingmin showed a strange smile and nodded. You really don't know where Jinhua Mountain is? Jinhua Mountain is in Linyu Town? Xiaohua was stunned. Hee, of course not. Fu Yingmin shook his head and stood up. Xiaohua, rest in the shop for 2 days. After I send Elder Lu away, I will arrange for you to go back to Jinhua Mountain. I will listen to Senior's arrangements. Xiaohua bowed and sent Fu Yingmin down to the 2nd floor. 3 days later, Xiaohua walked out of the Fu clan store and cupped his hands to bid farewell to Fu Yingmin, who had escorted him to the door. He then walked towards the teleportation array in Yinyuan City. After walking for a while, and seeing that there wasn't anyone around, he put on his camouflage robe and walked forward leisurely. As he walked, he thought to himself, what a coincidence. There are 2 teleportation arrays in Jinhua Mountain, and there are 2 different paths. Linyu Town is actually one of the choices. Even though it's a little far, it's still on the way. Chapter 1455. When Xiaohua arrived at the teleportation array, the courtyard was as deserted as it was a few days ago. Without waiting for Xiaohua to approach, several city guards focused their attention on Xiaohua. Xiaohua was not nervous at all. He slowly walked in front of a city guard and raised his hand. He said in a low voice, I am a talisman maker from the Fu clan. I want to use the teleportation array to return to the Golden Mountain. Fu clan's shop? The city guard's expression didn't change. He took Xiaohua's token and placed it on his own artifact to examine it. After a while, he returned the token to Xiaohua and said with a smile, Only your Fu clan is so cautious. A few days ago, an elder came and was also bewitched. Today he's bewitched again. Who can rob your Fu clan? Xiaohua sneered. I have my reasons for being bewitched. Can't your Yen Abyss city let me wear it? Io Senior, please calm down. This junior is only familiar with Fu Laosher and often goes to your shop. That's why I said it. Don't blame me, don't blame me. The city guard knew he misspoke and quickly apologized. Fu Laosher? Xiaohua was stunned. Hee, it's the talisman money. The city guard smiled. Senior might not know the disciple in the shop. Oh, Xiaohua did not comment. Senior, please. The city guard raised his hand and invited Xiaohua in. Xiaohua was secretly happy. Just as he was about to take a step, he heard someone shout, Fellow Taoist, please wait. Xiaohua was shocked and thought, could it be that I was discovered by the people of the Misty Mountain? Just as he turned around to look in astonishment, he discovered that the ones who spoke were several city guards. He saw several city guards holding magic tools and rushing behind Xiaohua, blocking a cultivator who was flying low in the air. The cultivator was also bewitched. His face and cultivation could not be seen clearly. When he saw the city guards blocking him, he shouted, How dare you? I have urgent matters to attend to in Linyu Town. Get out of my way. Senior, please wait a moment. After I beat this guy up, I will bring you there. The city guard next to Xiaohua apologized and quickly walked over. He cupped his hands and said, Senior, this one greets you. What are you talking about? Get out of the way, I'm in a hurry. The cultivator said coldly. Senior, there are some changes to the teleportation array in Yinyuan City. The city lord has instructed that if you want to use the teleportation array, you must use your real identity. The city guard explained politely. What about him? That cultivator pointed at Xiaohua's location. Damn it. Why am I so unlucky? Xiaohua silently cursed. However, he could only stand still and not move. Oh, this senior is a talisman crafting master of the Fu clan's shop. He has an identity token issued to the Fu clan by Yinyuan City, which can prove his identity. The guard smiled apologetically and said, if senior also has an identity token, you can show it to me for inspection. Where is Bianhui? The cultivator thought for a moment, and suddenly asked. Uncle Bien. The guard was stunned for a moment. He smiled even more respectfully and said, it is because of the changes in Yinyuan City that Uncle Bien went out and is not in Yinyuan City for the time being. Junior is also helpless. If Senior doesn't want to take off the bewildering dishwashing, Senior should go to the City Lord's mansion and ask for a token from the City Lord. Nonsense. The cultivator stomped his foot and said angrily, how would I dare to trouble City Lord Jiang for such a small matter? Then the cultivator raised his head and scanned the surroundings with his spiritual sense. He said coldly, I don't care about the cultivators of Yinyuan City. If the others don't want to cause trouble, quickly withdraw your spiritual sense. If this old man's whereabouts are leaked, don't blame my Imperial Thunder Sect for not giving everyone face. The Imperial Thunder Sect's reputation was indeed useful. The spiritual sense that had been roaming around the cultivator immediately withdrew. The cultivator had no choice but to take off the bewildering dishwashing, revealing a middle-aged cultivator in his 40s with a medium build who was in the late stage of foundation establishment. Seeing the resentment on the cultivator's face, the guard didn't dare to be negligent. He quickly raised his hand and said, Senior, please. The late-stage foundation establishment cultivator snorted through his nose and walked in front of Xiaohua. He scanned Xiaohua with his divine sense, and there was a strange expression on his face. However, he only glanced at Xiaohua once more before raising his head and walking past him. Senior, sorry for making you wait. Senior, please. The guard raised his hand and invited Xiaohua in. It's fine. Seeing that the late-stage foundation establishment cultivator was forced to take off the bewildering dishwashing, Xiaohua secretly rejoiced. If it wasn't for the Fu clan's identity token, how could he enter with the bewildering dishwashing? Senior, are you still going to Shallow Language City? The guard asked Xiaohua in a low voice as he walked. Shallow Language City was the other teleportation formation to Jinhua Mountain. It was slightly closer to Jinhua Mountain, and was often used by Fu clan disciples. No, this old man is going to Rain Town today. Xiaohua shook his head. The guard didn't say anything, but the foundation establishment cultivator in front of him turned around and looked at Xiaohua coldly. He said, Why are you going to Rain Town? Naturally, I'm going to use Rain Town's teleportation formation to go to Jade Bamboo Mountain. Why do you think I can go there? Xiaohua was unhappy. He knew that this cultivator couldn't see his cultivation, so he mustered up his courage and said, Seeing this, the cultivator sneered. The Fu clan's patriarch is only in the middle stage of foundation establishment. How high can a talisman master like you be? Even if you're a guest elder? You're only in the middle stage of foundation establishment at most. You actually dare to fool around in front of me? Hearing this, Xiaohua's heart trembled. He knew this wasn't good. Of course, he was so focused on pretending to be a senior that he forgot this detail. However, at this moment, Xiaohua could only muster up his courage and say with a smile, I don't seem to have anything to do with you, fellow Taoist. I'm just passing by Rain Town. It has nothing to do with fellow Taoists' urgent matter, and I don't have any intention of fooling around in front of you. Xiaohua's words were actually soft. How could that cultivator not hear it? I hope so. That cultivator seemed to really have something important to do. He ignored Xiaohua and quickly walked inside. After entering the teleportation formation, Xiaohua was a bit hesitant. That cultivator wouldn't suddenly attack in Yinyuan City, but who knew if he would suddenly attack in Rain Town? What are you doing? Why are you dawdling? That cultivator was already standing in the teleportation formation. His face was a bit impatient as he scolded. This old man isn't someone without self-restraint. I won't attack just because of a few words from you. If you had nothing to do with this old man, I wouldn't have bothered with you. That cultivator seemed to have seen through Xiaohua's thoughts and urged him. Xiaohua was a bit helpless, but then he thought about it. His real identity was just a small fourth-layer qi refining cultivator. How could a late-stage foundation establishment senior lower himself to his level? At worst, he would just go to Rain Town and say a few words to him. After Xiaohua stepped into the teleportation formation, the cultivator of Yinyuan City activated it. A flash of light appeared and Xiaohua felt another wave of dizziness. When he opened his eyes again, he saw the same teleportation formation as Shihuang Town. There were also a few Yinyuan City disciples and city guards on the side. In front of him was also a middle-stage foundation establishment cultivator. However, this cultivator didn't seem to be as friendly as Mo Guang. He only looked from afar and didn't come forward. I didn't expect fellow Taoist to also be a foundation establishment cultivator? The cultivator who came with Xiaohua looked at Xiaohua and said curiously, Fu Clan's development these past few years can be considered quite good. I wouldn't dare. How can this junior's cultivation be compared to senior's? This junior is only wearing the bewildering dishwashing because of difficulties. Please forgive me for any inappropriateness. Senior? Hearing Xiaohua's words, the cultivator's eyes revealed even more curiosity. However, the cultivator didn't beat around the bush and said, Come with this old man. And I'll listen to senior's instructions. Xiaohua could only bite the bullet and say. When they came out of the teleportation formation, there was a large expanse of lush forest outside. Fine drizzles floated down from the sky, but it couldn't wet their clothes. Instead, it washed the entire blue sky and green trees until they were green and glistening. Let's go. Once they came out of the teleportation formation, the cultivator didn't say anything else and waved his hand, telling Xiaohua to fly with him. This is bad. Could it be Xiaohua was worried? Fortunately, they only flew slowly for the time it took to smoke a cigarette. When they arrived at the foot of a mountain, the cultivator stopped and turned his head, saying, This old man came here for some important matters. I have to be careful. Fellow Taoist, please take down the bewildering dishwashing and let this old man see your true face. Xiaohua was helpless. He could only take off the bewildering dishwashing and bow, saying, Junior Xiaohua greets Senior. Seeing that Xiaohua's cultivation was only at the 4th level of the aura refining realm, the cultivator was obviously surprised. His face revealed an angry and amused expression, and he cursed. You're just a little aura refining child. Why are you acting so mysterious in front of this old man? Damn it, I thought you were some kind of onion. You're wasting this old man's energy for nothing. That cultivator didn't say anything else and suddenly flew up. He didn't even feel like paying attention to Xiaohua and flew towards a direction in the forest. Looking at that foundation establishment cultivator's back, Xiaohua put away the bewildering dishwashing, rubbed his nose, and muttered to himself, I wasn't an onion in the first place. Who told Senior to be too crazy? Soon after, Xiaohua flew into the air. He looked around in the drizzle and flew in a certain direction without consulting anyone. Xiaohua had already asked in Yinyuan City and understood that Luyang Town was a small town southwest of Linyu Town. Relying on flying alone, it was still a distance of over 10 days. However, Xiaohua, who was flying in the air, didn't notice that although he was going in a different direction from that foundation establishment cultivator, the route they were taking wasn't too far. During these 10 days, Xiaohua was the same as before. He cultivated while flying. Not only did he take clean lotus pills, but he also absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth from supreme-grade fire attribute spirit stones to temper himself. His cultivation, under the impetus of true qi, improved little by little. Seeing the beautiful scenery of the drizzle and the clear blue sky gradually disappear, and seeing the birds chirping and flowers fragrant all around him, Xiaohua knew that he would soon arrive at Luyang Town. Sure enough, in the air, he saw a towering mountain peak in the forest. On top of the mountain peak was a shape that was very similar to a cauldron. Xiaohua smiled and said, I'm afraid this is the symbol of Luyang Town, Yang Cauldron Mountain. When he flew closer to Yang Cauldron Mountain, Xiaohua saw a tranquil small town scattered at the foot of the mountain. A large river that couldn't be considered wide slowly flowed south of the small town. Chapter 1456. Is this the place where Wuxia grew up? Xiaohua had a very good impression of Wuxia, a female cultivator, who had both perseverance and endured humiliation. Looking at this small town with beautiful mountains and limpid waters, he couldn't help but feel a trace of curiosity. Descending from midair, Xiaohua walked on a rather wide road, and slowly walked towards the small town. Outside the small town were some strange stone sculptures and rockery. The stone sculptures were in all kinds of strange shapes. There were old cows with their heads down plowing the fields, village women with their breasts exposed while nursing their children, and even a group of children of all shapes and sizes. They were either holding slingshots, branches, or little squirrels in their hands as they walked forward happily. The rockery was also strange. Some were big, some were small, some were tall, some were short, some were entwined with vines, some had flowing water. Before even entering the town, Xiaohua was already attracted by these things that he had never seen before. "Young man, is this your first time in my Liang town?" A gentle voice sounded from beside a stone statue lying on the ground, and looking up at the sky. When Xiaohua turned his head to look, he saw an old man about 60 years old with a face full of hardships. He held a pipe in his hand and slowly stood up from beside the stone statue. "Greetings, old man." That old man admittedly didn't have any cultivation, and looked like an ordinary farmer. However, Xiaohua still cupped his hands in greeting and said, This humble one has indeed come to Liang town for the first time. Oh, are you looking for someone? Or are you just passing by?" That old man took a puff of his pipe and blew out a faint cloud of smoke from his mouth and nose. He asked very casually. Xiaohua said with a smile, "Even if I'm looking for someone, I'm also just passing by." Then he looked around and asked, "May I know why there are so many stone statues and rockery placed outside Liang town? Some of the towns I've been to didn't have such decorations." "Hey young man, you don't sound very old. The roads you've walked and the places you've been to are quite a few," the old man said with a smile. "Then, what do you think of these stone sculptures? What do you think of Liang town?" These stone carvings are vivid and lifelike, recording many of the various forms of the secular world. You might not feel anything when you look at them normally, but if you look at them carefully, you will find that there is a deep meaning behind them. Xiaohua thought for a moment and said, "Just like in an ordinary place, the happiness, anger, sorrow, and joy of farming are all reflected. The birth, old age, sickness, and death of people are all displayed." "Ah, young man. Could it be that you're looking for Liu Yang's Kai clan?" The old man was shocked and asked in a low voice. "Sir, I am indeed here to look for the Kai family. I wonder how Elder can tell?" Xiaohua asked curiously. "You can tell? Hee young man, look at this old man's eyes. How can this old man see anything?" The old man was still laughing. Xiaohua took a closer look. Sure enough, although the old man's eyes were open, his eyes were lifeless. There was no expression at all, not even a trace of movement. This old man was actually blind. Elder is wise, to actually be able to find clues from Ai's voice. "I truly admire you," Xiaohua praised with a smile. "It's nothing much. Normally, when people see this old man's stone carvings, they would be affected by the strangeness on the surface. Who would be able to see the inner meaning behind these stone carvings? Only an expert like Senior Immortal would be able to truly understand what is inside." "These were all carved by Elder?" Xiaohua asked in disbelief. "And exactly. I remember when this old man was 42 years old. I met with a great disaster. I couldn't see, couldn't do anything, and was extremely dispirited. However, the people of this town were extremely kind and helped this old man in all aspects, giving this old man hope to continue living." The old man raised his head and looked into the distance. His emotionless eyes seemed to have spirit. This old man was originally a stonemason, and didn't have anything to repay the people of this town. Thus, I used 20 years to slowly carve these things. 20 years? Xiaohua sucked in a breath of cold air and said in shock. "You still can't see these. How did you complete them?" Nothing else, but perseverance." The old man waved his hand and said with a smile, Immortal Elder is a cultivator. How could you possibly ask such a question? This old man only carved some stones, while Immortal Elder went against the will of the heavens and pursued the path of immortality. Isn't that the word perseverance? Although these words were simple in Xiaohua's ears, it was as if he was enlightened. Ever since he entered the middle stage of the fourth layer of qi refining, his progress had been somewhat slow. Unconsciously, he became anxious and wanted to find a way to increase his cultivation. Now that he heard the old man's words, he suddenly realized that although his cultivation was increasing slowly, it was still increasing after all. It was unknown how many times better than when his cultivation didn't increase at all in Shanghuaming. In fact, compared to Wuxia, it was unknown how many times better. Right now, he already had medicinal pills, top-grade spirit stones, and a complete cultivation method for the qi refining realm. As long as he persevered, how could he not reach the peak of qi refining? Even a blind old man could use 20 years to complete something that was difficult for a cultivator. So why couldn't he use 20 years to complete his qi refining cultivation? Xiaohua even felt that joining the Fu clan wasn't a very good choice. Thank you for your reminder, Elder. I have benefited greatly from it. Xiaohua bowed to the ground. With a wave of his hand, he took out a top-grade parasol pill and handed it over with a smile. Old Sir's words are wise words that allowed this poor Taoist to have an epiphany. This is this poor Taoist's precious medicinal pill. If there is anything wrong with Old Sir's body, you can take it. The old man was greatly surprised and quickly waved his hand. This old man was just casually chatting with someone. These words have been said to almost everyone who came here. Immortal Elder isn't the first. This old man is ashamed to accept this kind of immortal pill. I can't accept it. I can't accept it. Grandpa, at this moment, a childish and clear voice rang out. From behind a stone sculpture in the distance, a 7 or 8-year-old girl came out. The girl was somewhat thin and wasn't very tall, but her eyes were beautiful. From afar she shouted, "Grandpa, are you blindly chatting with others again?" "Hehe, Mayor, how could I? This is the Immortal Elder from the Kai clan. Quickly come and greet him." The old man looked at the girl and smiled kindly. Then he said to Xiaohua, "This is an orphan that this old man picked up a few years ago. I have been raising her by my side." Mayor greets Elder Immortal Elder. Mayor bounced over to the old man. She first pulled on the old man's sleeve, then looked at Xiaohua. Her eyes looked at Xiaohua's young face a few times before she curiously called out, "Immortal Elder is Immortal Elder. What elder brother?" The old man said strangely, "That's right. This Immortal Elder looks like an elder brother. He looks even younger than the Kai clan's elder sister. If Mayor doesn't call him elder brother, what should Mayor call him?" Although Mayor was a little shy, she still argued, "Immortal Elder, please don't blame Mayor. Mayor hasn't seen much of the world." The old man said with a smile, "Look at Elder, Mayor didn't say anything wrong. What's there to blame?" Xiaohua said with a smile, "It's good that Immortal Elder doesn't blame me." The old man nodded his head. It's rare for Immortal Elder to accompany this old man and talk so much. "Mayor, this Immortal Elder wants to go to the Kai clan. You take Immortal Elder there." "Me?" Mayor was stunned and said, "Immortal Elder's home is very far from here. Mayor only went with Elder Sister's servant. Going by myself is impossible." The old man took out a few copper coins from his sleeve and said, "Find a donkey cart or something and let them take you there. Then I'll go by myself." "Grandpa, this money is for tomorrow's meal," Mayor said carefully. Xiaohua smiled and said, "Elder, don't worry. I will let Mayor lead the way. Naturally, I will pay for the cart." And the old man felt that his thoughts were seen through by Xiaohua. He was a little embarrassed and said in a low voice, "Mayor, listen to Immortal Elder's orders and serve Immortal Elder well." "Yes, Grandpa. Don't worry. Big brother Immortal Elder, let's go this way." Mayor didn't understand the old man's meaning, but she still obediently replied, "Elder, let's part here. I'm leaving." Xiaohua bowed and saluted, then followed Mayor into the town. "Immortal Elder, take care," the old man said in a low voice. His lifeless eyes looked at the direction Xiaohua was walking in. It was unknown what he was thinking. Are you really immortal, elder? Mayor walked in front for a while. Seeing that they were about to enter the town, she couldn't help but turn her head and ask, "Don't I look like one?" Xiaohua rubbed his nose and lowered his head to look at his own Taoist robe. "Looking at your clothes, you do look like one. However, although Elder Sister Fairy is as young and amiable as you, Elder Sister Fairy has never saluted Grandpa, and that means that everyone in the town salutes Elder Sister Fairy. Is that so?" Xiaohua secretly laughed. He really didn't know why Mayor's observation was so detailed. Maybe everyone is different. "I feel that your grandpa is very amazing, that's why I saluted him." "That's right. Grandpa is really amazing. Think about it. So many stone sculptures were carved by him alone. How many can there be in the whole world?" Mayor puffed out her small chest, as if she also contributed to this. "Pfft," Xiaohua laughed. Looking at this little girl who connected the words all the world with the size of Lu Yang, he said, "How far is Elder Sister Fairy's Kai family from here?" Mayor rode a donkey cart there. "I'm afraid it's about 2 hours." Mayor frowned and thought for a while before replying. "Which direction?" After Mayor pointed in a direction, Xiaohua extended his hand and said with a smile, "Mayor, how about I fly you there?" "Okay, could it be, you really are immortal, elder?" Mayor's words almost made Xiaohua not know whether to laugh or cry. So at this time, she still suspected that he was a swindler. Extending his hand, Xiaohua grabbed Mayor's arm and said, "Let's fly. If you're scared, then close your eyes." "I'm not scared." Mayor clenched her teeth, seemingly unwilling to admit defeat. "Okay." Xiaohua praised and flew into the air. At this time, there were many people in the town who saw this. They all stood respectfully and looked on with envy. Chapter 1457. The Kai family was not in Luyang town, nor was it below Yang Cauldron Mountain. Instead, it was on the other side of Luyang River. Xiaohua only used the time it took to drink a cup of tea to fly there. When he landed on the ground, he lowered his head to look at Mei who had not closed her eyes the entire way. Not only was she not afraid, but she was also somewhat excited. He smiled and said, "I didn't lie to you, right? Elder Brother Immortal is indeed an Elder Immortal. You didn't lie to Mei felt as if she was still flying leisurely in the sky, and her words were somewhat floating. "Is this the Kai family?" Xiaohua looked at the appearance of a manor not far away, and the place opposite the river bank, the tall archway and the vermilion door asked. "It should be." Mayor looked and said, "When Mayor came last time, I went through the door on the side with Elder Sister Immortal's maid. And very good. Mayor, take this. This is something this poor Taoist is giving to your grandfather. If your grandfather gets sick and the doctor says that there's no way to treat him, you can let him take this medicine. Maybe something strange will happen." Xiaohua handed the parasol pill over. Is this an immortal pill? Can it cure grandfather's eyes?" Mayor was not polite. She stretched out her hand to take it and asked curiously. Xiaohua shook his head, making Mayor very depressed. She somewhat listlessly took back the parasol pill. "Oh, also this is for you. When you have the opportunity to cultivate like I in the future, take out this pill and ask your master how to take it." Xiaohua thought for a moment, then took out the osmanthus pill, clean lotus pill, and clear fragrance pill each and gave them to Mayor. He said with a smile, "This is your reward for bringing I here. Go to the Kai family and knock on the door. When I arrive, I will ask the Kai family people to send you back." "Oh then." Mayor thanks Elder Brother Immortal. Mayor didn't know what these pills were, nor did she understand Xiaohua's meaning. She could only accept these pills. Afterwards, she jogged all the way, ran past the memorial archway, jumped up a few steps, and tried her best to stand on her tiptoes. She stretched out her hand, barely reaching for the knocker on the door. Once again, she silently knocked on the vermilion door. Xiaohua slowly walked behind Mayor, smiling as he looked at Mayor's hard work. Mayor knocked for a while, but no one came to answer the door. She didn't know if it was because she didn't use much strength or the sound was very soft. Mayor was at a loss of what to do. Her face was red as she turned around to look at Xiaohua. She rubbed her 2 little feet back and forth with her 10 fingers, relieving the numbness from standing on tiptoe just now. Xiaohua only looked at her with a smile and didn't say anything. Mayor looked at him with her big watery eyes for a moment. Then she bit her lips and turned around. She stood on her tiptoes and once again used her fingertips to pull the doorknob with difficulty. Pa. Pa. Pa pa. 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 The monotonous knocks on the door continued. Got it after about the time it took for an incense stick to burn. The sound of the door opening came from the side. A small door that was about the height of a person was opened, and an old man in his 50s walked out. The old man was dressed in green, and he looked a little old and dim-sighted. Seeing someone come out, Mayor's face was filled with joy. She ran over with a smile and called out, "Grandpa!" The old man looked at Mayor, and his face was somewhat unhappy. He scolded, "Little girl, which family are you from? How dare you come to the Kai family's manor to cause trouble? Didn't your parents teach you? Is the Kai family's door something that you can casually knock on?" Grandpa Mayor was excited, as if she didn't expect to be scolded. Her face was somewhat frightened, but she still wanted to explain. "Quickly go back. Grandpa will pretend that he didn't hear anything." The old man waved his hand and said, "Next time you can't do it." "Grandpa, it's not Mayor who caused trouble. It's an immortal elder over there who wants to see Sister Fairy. So Mayor came to knock on the door." Mayor pulled the old man's sleeve and pointed at Xiaohua. "Immortal elder?" The old man was slightly stunned. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Xiaohua, puzzled. "Don't immortal elders fly directly to the backyard? Why are they here?" "Mayor just flew here," Mayor said with a smile. "Really?" Hearing this, the old man didn't dare to neglect and quickly walked in front of Xiaohua. Seeing Xiaohua's Taoist robe, he immediately said respectfully, "Kai family's old servant greets immortal elder." Xiaohua quickly returned the greeting and said, "Elder, please don't be so polite. I am here to visit Fairy Hongxia. Elder, please inform her." "Oh, this old servant understands. Immortal elder, please wait a moment. This old servant will go guard the door and invite immortal elder to enter." The old man's face was very flattered. He walked back and entered through the small corner door. In just a moment, the red door opened with a creak. "Old Kai, what are you doing? Who allowed you to open the door without permission?" A stern voice sounded from inside the door. From the half-open door, Xiaohua saw a thin and small cultivator shouting at the old man in a stern voice. "Housekeeper Kai," the old man said submissively. "There is an immortal elder outside who wants to visit second miss." This old servant opened the door to welcome the immortal elder. "Immortal elder?" The cultivator frowned and looked at Xiaohua. He then scolded, "Old Kai, are you not satisfied with being a gatekeeper? You want to go somewhere else? Why don't you take a look at this person's cultivation?" "My Kai family's door can't be opened unless one is at least at the 5th level of qi refining. This old servant. How would I know the immortal elder's cultivation? This door. Can't any immortal elder open it?" The old man asked in confusion. "This is a new rule set by Qing Yang's Kai family. Don't tell me you don't know? Qing Yang. Kai family's rules can control me, Lu Yang?" The old man was unhappy when he heard this. "Are you the housekeeper or am I the housekeeper?" The cultivator shouted. "Quickly close the door. There's no need to inform the family head for now. Let this poor Taoist go and see which cultivator admires the second Mississippi. If he has no background, this poor Taoist will send him away. There are always cultivators coming every once in a while. Do you think my Kai family's door is so easy to open?" The cultivator quickly walked in front of Xiaohua and cupped his hands with a smile. "I am Kai family's housekeeper, Kai Mingsong. How should I address you, fellow Taoist? Do you come from some aristocratic family or sect?" Xiaohua indifferently looked at Kai Mingsong, whose cultivation was about the same as his, and returned the greeting. "I am Xiaohua, a wandering cultivator." "Xiaohua?" Kai Mingsong stared blankly, a trace of astonishment flashing through his eyes. Soon after, it was covered up with deliberate contempt. "A wandering cultivator? What's wrong with wandering cultivators?" Xiaohua didn't seem to notice Kai Mingsong's trace of astonishment and coldly asked, "My Kai family doesn't welcome wandering cultivators. Moreover, We don't wish for wandering cultivators to disturb my family's direct disciples' cultivation. Kai Mingsong was even colder. If fellow Taoist has foresight, you'd better find an immortal's cave and immerse yourself in bitter cultivation. Only then will there be a day when you'll be successful. Don't put any flowery guts or crooked thoughts on our cultivator aristocratic family. Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He didn't expect Kai Mingsong to regard him as someone who wanted to climb up the social ladder. But just as he was hesitating whether or not to tell him about Wuxia, Kai Mingsong strangely said, "But seeing that you're already at the 4th layer of qi refining at such a young age, you can be considered a cultivator with a bright future. I will help you. Go to town and find an inn to stay in. When second miss comes out of seclusion, I'll find an opportunity to ask her. If she's interested in meeting you, I'll inform you." How could Xiaohua have time to wait? After thinking for a moment, he cupped his hands and said, "I came this time because I have an important matter related to Wuxia. I want to see Fairy Hongxia. Since Fairy Hongxia is in seclusion, I hope fellow Taoists can report this to the Kai family's patriarch." News about eldest miss. Without waiting for Kai Mingsong to open his mouth, Kai Mingsong's face lit up with joy. He walked towards the inn while shouting, "This old servant will inform the master." Unfortunately, the old man's hands and feet were very clumsy. After running a few steps, he staggered and almost fell. Mayer's eyes were quick. She quickly ran over and supported the old man, saying, "Grandpa, be careful." "Little girl, come inside with Grandpa. Grandpa will find you something delicious to eat." After receiving news about Wuxia, the old man seemed very happy. He smiled and patted Mayer's head. Mayer didn't dare to agree. She turned her head and looked at Xiaohua. Xiaohua slightly nodded. Kai Mingsong opened his mouth, but he didn't stop the old man. He turned his head and said with a smile, "So you're an old acquaintance of eldest miss. May I know where fellow Taoist met eldest miss? Where is eldest miss right now?" "Fellow Taoist, don't worry. When your family's patriarch comes out, I'll tell him everything," Xiaohua said while shaking his head. Kai Mingsong snorted. "Fellow Taoist, don't tell me you're using eldest miss's name to do something?" Xiaohua didn't pay attention to him. He looked at the Kai family's gate and said, "I heard fellow Taoist Kai say that Hongxia Fairy has been in seclusion for a long time. She hasn't come out yet? You gave yourself away." Kai Mingsong sneered. "Since it's news about eldest miss, why didn't you inform my family's patriarch? Why did you have to inform my family's second miss?" Elder sister. Elder sister Xiaohua was too lazy to retort. Just as he was about to turn his head, a clear voice came from the sky. A young girl wearing red and green clothes, whose cultivation was around the 3rd layer of qi refining, flew out from the Kai family's courtyard. "Where's my elder sister?" The girl was around 10 years old. She had bright eyes and white teeth. She had delicate features and was a beauty in the making. She looked many times more beautiful than Mayer. "Third miss." This cultivator only said that he brought news about eldest Mississippi. He didn't say that eldest miss came back. Kai Mingsong said with a smile, It's not elder sister who came back. This old Kai." The girl obviously didn't hear old Kai's words clearly. She curled her lips and looked at Xiaohua, cupping her hands and saying, "I'm Kai Mingxia from the Kai family. Greetings, fellow Taoist." Strange. Why haven't I heard Wuxia mention this girl before? Xiaohua was a bit puzzled. When he saw Kai Mingxia salute him, he didn't dare to be negligent. He also saluted. "I'm Xiaohua. Greetings, fellow Taoist Kai." Fellow Taoist Kai? When Kai Mingxia heard this, she couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. Her eyebrows revealed a trace of charm. "I know. You're the dual cultivation partner that elder sister found." Kai Mingxia had just put down her hands when she suddenly said this. "If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote." Chapter 1458. Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he looked at the girl who didn't even reach his chest. Her face still had childishness and her eyes were filled with passion. He hurriedly waved his hand and said, "Little fellow Kai is wrong. The person in fellow Kai's heart." Xiaohua hurriedly shut up. Li Zongbao's matter was related to the utmost happiness faction's face. How could he say that? Moreover, the matter between Li Zongbao and Kai Wuxia had already been destroyed along with Kai Wuxia's death, so he couldn't talk nonsense. Isn't fellow Xiao the same? Could it be that there's another handsome guy? Kai Mingxia blinked her big eyes and asked curiously. Him. He's just a rogue cultivator, even if Big Miss is willing, family head won't agree. Kai Mingsong disdainfully curled his lips. Uncle Mingsong, this matter of dual cultivation is the matter of Big Sister's direct disciples. How can I, a concubine's disciple, say anything? If family head sees fellow Zhao's slender and elegant figure, he might even agree. Kai Mingxia was young, but she knew a lot. She acted like an adult and spoke to Kai Mingsong. Xiaohua couldn't stand it and hurriedly waved his hand. Little fellow Kai, slender and elegant. I'm afraid it's used to describe female cultivators. Fellow Xiao is so tall and slender, I think you're more suitable for Tingting than the others. Kai Mingxiao explained in a deadpan manner. This Xiaohua was speechless and didn't know what to say. Just as Xiaohua was feeling awkward, a dozen or so sounds of air breaking rang out from the Kai family manor. Xiaohua looked over and saw a dozen or so young people in the third or fourth level of qi refining, wearing the same clothes, flying out from the Kai family manor. The sect brothers are here, fellow Xiao. You have a lot of face. Kai Mingxia said with a smile like a flower. The dozen or so disciples landed on the ground and neatly lined up in 2 rows from the Kai family's main gate all the way to Xiaohua's front. Immediately after, the sound of a door opening could be heard and the Kai family's main gate split into 2. Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and looked over. The person at the front was a 10th layer aura refining cultivator. He was also tall and thin with a square face. On his dark and slightly withered face, there were several deep wrinkles that showed the vicissitudes of life. This person's eyes were extremely bright and his lips were slightly thin. At this moment, they were tightly shut, revealing a silent majesty. Looking at the people behind him, they weren't young either, and most of them were in the 9th or 10th layer of the qi refining realm. I'm afraid it's the head of the Kai clan, right? Xiaohua thought in his heart as he quickly walked to the middle of the Kai family's disciples and bowed respectfully. Junior Xiaohua greet Senior Kai. No need for formalities, no need for formalities. I am Kai Haisong. Thank you, fellow Daoist Xiao, for bringing back news of Wuxia. Kai Haisong's face was still unhappy as he cupped his hands and said, I don't dare to accept your thanks. I only met fellow Daoist Kai by chance, and received a lot of help from fellow Daoist Kai. Sending her news back is something I should do. Xiaohua said politely. Come, these are I's sect brothers. They are also Wuxia's elders. Fellow Daoist Xiao, please get to know them. As Kai Haisong spoke, he waved his hand and introduced the people behind him to Xiaohua. They were precisely Kai Shansong, Kai Fengsong, Kai Hasong and the others. After Xiaohua finished greeting them one by one, he heard Kai Haisong say, Fellow Daoist Xiao, please. We'll talk in the main hall. Clan head seeing Kai Haisong turn around and walk through the main door, Kai Mingsong anxiously said, This Xiaohua's origin is unknown. He's a loose cultivator. The matter between him and eldest miss is still unclear. If we enter through the main door of the Kai clan now, wouldn't we be giving others a reason to gossip? In the future, what will happen to eldest miss? Kai Haisong frowned slightly and glanced at Kai Mingsong in displeasure. Also, clan head, didn't Qingyang's Kai clan send over the new rules of the Kai clan long ago? Unless it's the door of life and death, or the door of nobility, can't the Kai clan's main door be easily opened to outsiders? Mingsong. Luyang's Kai clan is Luyang's Kai clan. Why must we listen to Qingyang's Kai clan? Fellow Daoist Xiao brought news of Wuxia. He's our Kai clan's honored guest. If we don't open the courtyard door to welcome him, wouldn't that be lacking in etiquette? Kai Shansong said from the side. Brother Shansong, isn't this little brother also thinking of our Luyang's Kai clan? Since we want to take Qingyang's Kai clan as the successor, then we must follow their rules. Otherwise, how can we be the Kai clan without proper status? Kai Mingsong said with a smile. If Qingyang's Kai clan were to know of these matters, wouldn't we be inviting trouble? What's this guy doing? Xiaohua looked at Kai Mingsong in confusion. Kai Mingsong had obstructed him time and time again, but obstructing him was only to let him pass through the main door. It didn't do any harm to him. Moreover, it was in front of the Kai clan's clan head, Kai Haisong. Wasn't this brushing away the clan head's face? What if this sect head insists on inviting fellow Daoist Xiao through the main door? Could it be that Qingyang's Kai clan wants to incriminate our Luyang's Kai clan? Kai Haisong sneered. I forgot. Xiaohua suddenly remembered that he had killed Kai Yingxia. If he really walked through the main door, then wouldn't he implicate Kai Haisong? Why bother? This is all for the clan head to consider. Little brother is only reminding the clan head to fulfill his duty as a steward. Kai Mingsong said with a smile. Forget it, Senior Kai. Junior is a rogue cultivator, and not some high-level cultivator. It's better to go through the side door. Xiaohua cupped his hands and said, No need. Fellow Daoist Xiao, please follow me. Kai Haisong pulled on Xiaohua's sleeve and walked towards the main door. Seeing that they were about to reach the main door, Xiaohua suddenly asked, Senior Kai, if the main door isn't open, then a high-level cultivator must have come to visit and wanted to open the main door. Then what about the door of life and death? Oh, the door of life and death is the door of life and death. You can go through the main door. Kai Haisong frowned and explained. Sigh, Xiaohua gently pulled his sleeve out of Kai Haisong's hand and said with a bitter smile. Junior originally wanted to explain it to Senior in the courtyard, but since the Kai family has its own rules, this humble Daoist will also say it in advance. What? Kai Haisong's heart skipped a beat. He raised his eyebrows and shouted. Fellow Daoists, please step aside. Xiaohua said and took a few steps back. He patted his hand and took out Kai Zhuoxia's huge coffin from his storage bag. He lightly held it with one hand and solemnly placed it on the ground. This is Kai Fengsong said anxiously. Yes, this is fellow Daoist Kai Zhuoxia's coffin. Xiaohua said in a low voice. Big sister, Kai Mingxia shouted from behind everyone. Her voice was already filled with sobs. Fellow Daoist Xiao, you're not joking? Kai Haisong's face was slightly pale. Xiaohua shook his head and only used his eyes to look at the very rough coffin beside him. Third brother, take a look. Kai Haisong said to Kai Hasong in a deep voice. Kai Hasong walked to the front of the coffin and reached out his hand to grab a corner of the coffin. With a slight force, the coffin opened up a slit, revealing Kai Zhuoxia's lifelike face inside. Sigh, Kai Hasong saw Kai Zhuoxia's lifeless appearance and sighed as he closed the coffin. Seeing Kai Hasong's appearance, Kai Haisong's face turned ashen. He waved his hand and said loudly, Hasong, quickly go to the shady area of Yang Cauldron Mountain and get a willow branch for Zhuoxia to summon her soul. Yes. Kai Hasong's face was filled with grief and indignation. He stood up and was about to fly away. Xiaohua was stunned. He waved his hand and took out the willow branch from the storage space. He asked, Senior Kai, can this willow branch be used? However, when Xiaohua took out the willow branch, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. In the storage space behind Xiaohua's head, with the light of tracing back time, all the spirit herbs grew as fast as years. At this time, many of the spirit herbs were over 1,000 years old. This willow branch had been in the storage space for many days. It was equivalent to tens or even hundreds of years in the Xiaoyu continent. Even if it wasn't an ordinary willow branch, there should be some changes, right? And this willow branch was exactly the same as the one Xiaohua obtained in the auction in Yinyuan City. Why does fellow Daoist Kai have a willow branch with him? Kai Haisong asked curiously. Could it be that it has always been with Zhuoxia's coffin? Oh yes. Yes. Xiaohua was slightly stunned and casually answered. That's the best. Kai Haisong forced a smile and said, since it can be with Zhuoxia's coffin, it can summon her soul. He song, there's no need to go. You guys go in and prepare. The morning hall. Senior Kai, what's the matter with this willow branch? Xiaohua asked in confusion. My Kai family has a rule. When a disciple dies in a foreign land, when the coffin is brought back to the Kai family, we have to use the willow branch to summon their soul. We're afraid that the soul of the deceased will wander in a foreign land, unable to find the way back. Kai Haisong's expression was gloomy as he looked at Kai Zhuoxia's lifelike face and said, "And this junior understands. How do I use it?" Xiaohua asked. Kai Haisong waved his hand and said, "Since this willow branch is with Zhuoxia's coffin, her soul must be nearby. Fellow Taoist, Xiao only needs to wave it a few times, and then casually pat Zhuoxia's body a few times." Then he looked into the distance and said with some gratification, "Could it be that fellow Taoist Xiao is so fated with Zhuoxia that you actually have a willow branch with you? Maybe Zhuoxia's soul hasn't left her body yet. You can just casually summon it a few times." When Xiaohua heard these words without any reason, he didn't take it seriously. The willow branch was an ordinary willow branch and the person who died in a faraway place. He used the teleportation formation to come here, so how could the soul follow him? However, he still followed Kai Haisong's instructions and raised the willow branch in his hand. He waved it a few times on Kai Zhuoxia's coffin, and then shook it a few times on Kai Zhuoxia's body. However, something unexpected happened. When Xiaohua waved the willow branch, a kind of life force flowed out from his space along with the movement of the willow branch. On top of the willow branch, there was a bean-sized water droplet. This water droplet was not on the willow branch before. It was the result of being inserted into the space in the past 10 days. When Xiaohua shook the willow branch, the water droplet slid down from the willow branch. It drew an arc in the air and directly fell between Kai Zhuoxia's eyebrows. There was something even stranger. In the far west of the Dawn Rain continent, in a boiling spring, there was a light figure that looked like a human but wasn't human. Its body was surrounded by a 7-colored halo and was immersed in it. Suddenly, just as the willow branch in Xiaohua's hand danced and the power of life flowed, the light figure shot out from the spring. The 7-colored halo violently rotated, and an emotionless, ice-cold voice sounded. "Permitha? How is this possible? How could this thing be here?" Before the voice fell, a pair of wings that were dozens of feet long suddenly grew out from the 7-colored halo. The wings seemed to have many layers, but they were very transparent and couldn't be seen clearly. The wings slightly flapped and the light figure quickly flew forward and disappeared in the blink of an eye. "Is that so, Senior Kai?" In Liu Yang's Kai family, Xiaohua turned his head and asked, "Many thanks, fellow Taoist Xiao. It is so." Kai Haisong nodded and said, "You're welcome." As Xiaohua spoke, he put the willow branch back into the space and stuck it in its original place. In the sky in the far east, in just a short moment, the light figure had already flown over 1,000 li. Why can't I sense the aura of the Permitha? Could it be that my senses were wrong? The light figure stopped and looked in the direction of Liu Yang with hesitation. After a long while, it shook its head slightly. The aura of the Permitha is far from something that can be concealed by the space magic of the cultivation world. Since it wasn't there before, how could it appear now? Moreover, the Permitha was destroyed long ago. It can't appear in the cultivation world. Immediately, the light figure turned around and flew back into the spring. In Liu Yang's Kai family, Kai Haisong waved his hand and shouted, "Carry the coffin into the manor." Yes. Behind Xiaohua, more than 10 disciples of the Kai family had tears in their eyes as they replied in unison. They walked forward and each of them grabbed a corner of the coffin and carried it into the manor. "Fellow Taoist Xiao, please." At this moment, Kai Haisong was very polite as he invited Xiaohua in. Xiaohua glanced at Kai Mingsong, who still seemed to be in a daze, and walked into the Kai family's manor. The Kai family's manor was quite big. After walking through the main gate for a while, they entered the main hall. At this moment, many men and women in the manor had received the news, and were rushing over with anxious expressions. "Fellow Taoist Kai, please have some tea." Everyone was seated in the main hall. Kai Haisong raised his hand and said, "Many thanks, Senior Kai." Xiaohua politely picked up the teacup and took a sip. Kai Haisong was somewhat anxious. Without waiting for Xiaohua to put down the teacup, he opened his mouth and said, "Fellow Taoist Xiao, Zhuoxia, what happened to her?" Kai Zhuoxia's death had stirred up the Flying Phoenix Ridge and the Misty Mountain, and the matter behind it was a secret between the two clans. In Xiaohua's mind, the Misty Mountain wanted to capture him for the sake of secrecy, and if he really explained the reason behind it, It would be unavoidable for the Kai clan to be dragged into the whirlpool. Therefore, he had already thought it through on the way here, and only talked about the matter between the two of them, and did not mention anything else. Sure enough, when Kai Haisong and the rest heard this, they all frowned and stared at Xiaohua with bright eyes. Although Xiaohua's words clearly explained the cause of Kai Zhuoxia's death, but he did not mention the location and cause of her death. How could they be at ease? Fellow Daoist Xiao, seems to have a lot of things that you haven't said. Kai Mingsong asked from the side. Also, where is the young mistress's storage bag? Why isn't it in the coffin? Xiaohua sighed. Looking at everyone's questioning eyes, he thought to himself, I didn't want to tell you all at first. I was afraid that it would involve the storage bag. Kai Zhuoxia clearly said that the contents of the storage bag must be personally handed over to Fairy Hongxia. There must be a reason. But Fairy Hongxia was in seclusion, so I had no choice but to come. This matter is a little difficult to handle. Xiaohua nodded and said, Fellow Daoist Kai's storage bag is in I's sleeve. And then, Fellow Daoist Xiao, please return it to my Kai family. Zhuoxia's storage bag contains my Kai family's ancestral yellow talisman. My Kai family must take it back. Kai Shansong said anxiously. Xiaohua still nodded and said, Since I can return Fellow Daoist Kai's coffin, I will definitely return Fellow Daoist Kai's storage bag to the Kai family. But what? Kai Haifeng also asked curiously. But before Fellow Daoist Kai died, he instructed that this storage bag must be personally handed over to Fairy Hongxia by a bunch of nonsense. Kai Mingsong hurriedly jumped out and said, This guy said earlier that he wanted to see the second young mistress. When he heard that the second young mistress was in seclusion, he said that he wanted to see the family head. Now he wants to hand the storage bag to the second young mistress. Does he think that I can't see through the clues inside? Humph. Xiaohua looked coldly at Kai Mingsong and did not explain. Mingsong. Kai Haisong scolded. You can leave now. Go out and take care of Zhuoxia's funeral. If Fellow Daoist Xiao has other thoughts, he doesn't have to come at all. You think too much. Kai Mingsong raised his neck, cupped his hands and walked out of the hall. Chapter 1459. Not long after Kai Mingsong left the hall, a servant of the Kai family secretly slipped out of the manor. While everyone in the Kai family was mourning the loss of Kai Zhuoxia, he crossed the river alone and went to Luyang town. As for what he was going to do, the Kai family had no idea. Fellow Daoist Xiao, after Kai Mingsong left, Kai Haisong said, Can you tell us more about Zhuoxia's matter? Xiaohua looked at the few people and said in a low voice, Seniors, do you think she can fight against a foundation establishment stage cultivator? Hiss, Kai Haisong sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at the other brothers. He did not dare to ask any more. Zhuoxia's storage bag must be given to Red Cloud, but, in the end it is still returned to my Kai family. Red Cloud has been in seclusion for more than 2 years, and there is no sign of her coming out. This time, she is in seclusion until death. At the beginning of her seclusion, she said that if she does not enter the 10th level of qi refining, she will not come out. Zhuoxia was also moved by her sister's matter, which is why she went out to travel. She hoped that she would encounter something that could raise her cultivation and help her sister come out. If Fellow Daoist Xiao wants to follow Zhuoxia's last words and give the storage bag to Red Cloud, then we can only wait for Red Cloud to come out. But what if she stays in seclusion and is unable to break through the 10th level of qi refining? Could it be that Fellow Daoist Xiao will not return the storage bag to my Kai family? I might as well wait for Hongxia Fairy to come out of seclusion. Xiaohua thought to himself, this way I can't leave, but I can't stay either. I can't keep waiting here just because Fairy Red Cloud is in seclusion. But if I leave, will the Kai family let me go? Xiaohua smiled bitterly and said, Senior Kai, please enlighten me. This Kai Haisong thought for a while and said, If Fellow Daoist Xiao does not mind, you can stay here for a few days. I will see if I can wake Red Cloud up. If it is not possible, I hope Fellow Daoist Xiao can make an exception. Well said, I will do as Senior Kai says. Xiaohua cupped his hands and said, Shansong, bring Fellow Daoist Xiao out to rest. Oh, I just brought I to Mayor. Senior Kai, please send someone to send her back. Mayor? Don't worry, fellow Taoist Xiao. I will make the necessary arrangements. Kai Haisong nodded. After Xiao Hua left the hall with Kai Shansong, everyone was silent for a moment. Kai Fengsong whispered, Big brother, can Xiao Hua's words be trusted? Kai Haisong smiled bitterly. So what if I don't believe you? He's a fourth-layer qi refining rogue cultivator. Yet he brought Wuxia's body back to the Kai clan from afar. This alone makes him a benefactor of the Kai clan. Besides, he didn't seem to deny the matter of the storage bag. If he really doesn't want to return it, he can just say that he didn't see it. Wuxia's death, could it be related to him? That's not possible, he's only in the fourth layer of qi refining. Wuxia was already in the late fourth layer of qi refining 2 years ago. Xiao Hua is definitely not Wuxia's opponent. Then he sent Wuxia's coffin back, and even returned the storage bag. Moreover, he wanted to personally give it to Hongxia. Big brother, do you think that this bastard is really like what Ming Song said? Does he really covet Hongxia? This. I can't say for sure. Kai Haisong shook his head. Even if he covets Hongxia, so what? He's just a rogue cultivator in the fourth layer of qi refining, while Hongxia is in the ninth layer of qi refining. Normally, she wouldn't care about the children of any aristocratic family, so Xiao Hua definitely wouldn't be in her eyes. In any case, if we can avoid trouble, we'll avoid it. If we can avoid it, we'll avoid it. He wants to see it, but Hongxia. It's been almost 3 years, and she still hasn't come out of seclusion. This storage pouch originally belonged to my Kai family. Inside it are also the yellow talismans and other items from my Kai family that Wuxia brought with her when she traveled. These items originally belonged to my Kai family, so Xiao Hua should return them to my Kai family. How did this natural thing become something our Kai clan should be grateful for? Judging from Xiao Hua's intentions, he probably has some ulterior motive, right? Don't think too much about it. Let's first look at Wuxia's body and see if it's the same as what Xiao Hua said. Then we'll think about how to deal with the funeral. Kai Haisong waved his hand impatiently. Of course, Kai Wuxia's body wasn't fake. The backside of her body was completely destroyed. When the women of the Kai clan saw it, they couldn't help but shed tears of grief. Although Kai Haisong and the other men didn't shed a single tear in front of their faces, the mournful and sorrowful cries behind their backs weren't worth mentioning to outsiders. After Xiao Hua sent Kai Wuxia's body back to Liang, he was finally able to settle one of the things that had been weighing on his mind. For the next 10 days or so, he quietly cultivated in a small, secluded building in the Kai clan's manor. He didn't even take half a step out of the small building. Moreover, during these 10 days, his cultivation had made very clear progress. Cultivators of my generation are the most heaven-defying. Every action of mine is seen by the heavenly Tao. As long as there's the slightest mistake, an inner demon will be born. I promised Kai Wuxia that I would bring her body back to the Kai clan in Liang, so I was investigated by the heavenly Tao. If I didn't fulfill my promise, then there would be fetters in my heart. These fetters would become an obstacle to my cultivation, obstructing my cultivation. I did what I promised, so these obstacles disappeared. My cultivation was as smooth as flowing water. Whatever people do, the heavens are watching. Xiao Hua's comprehension of the heavenly Tao could be considered a small gain. At this moment, without a teacher, he had a little understanding of the karma caused by his words and actions. My heart was originally towards the bright moon, but the bright moon shines on the ditch. Xiao Hua released his special perception. Although it couldn't see the surroundings of the small building like his divine sense, he could clearly sense the positions of the Kai clan's fourth-layer disciples. The Kai clan's disciples have increased by 2 compared to a few days ago. I'm afraid Kai Wuxia's funeral is coming to an end. I also have to make a choice. Should I give it to Kai Haisong or not? Forget it. Either way, it belongs to the Kai clan. What's the point of me holding on to it? Doesn't it matter who I give it to? If I think too much about it, it'll affect my cultivation. Xiao Hua threw away the last trace of hesitation and closed his eyes to comprehend the heavenly Tao. At the same time, he activated the blood shadow technique and drove his meridians to continue cultivating the dragon transformation art. The dragon transformation art was truly mysterious. Although the meridians in Xiaohua's body had not been completely refined by him, and there were even many meridians that Xiaohua did not know about. When Xiaohua was cultivating the dragon transformation art, he could faintly sense the existence of those meridians. He could even tell that although he didn't know and couldn't control those meridians, the dragon transformation art was still operating in those meridians. Of course, the dragon transformation art was a cultivation method used to transform into a dragon. The amount of time and effort required was far from what a low-level qi refining cultivator, like Xiaohua, could understand. Although Xiaohua had been cultivating diligently for nearly a year, and the dragon transformation art was also progressing bit by bit, he couldn't see any particularly obvious results in a short period of time. In the blink of an eye, several days passed. On this day, Xiaohua just held a fire-type spirit stone in his hand and was about to draw energy into his body when he heard a series of footsteps. Xiaohua opened his eyes and put away the spirit stone. His posture didn't change as he calmly looked at the door. Pung pung. Several knocks sounded on the door and Kai Haisong's voice sounded. Fellow Taoist Xiao, I have something to see you about. Senior Kai, please come in. Xiaohua replied. The door creaked. Kai Haisong, Kai Hasong, and the others all stood at the door with miserable expressions. Xiaohua stood up and cupped his hands. Seniors, please come in. Fellow Taoist Xiao is really hardworking. In these few days, you've actually been cultivating. I really admire you. Kai Haisong and the others said in a deep voice as they entered the room. I don't dare. Junior is a loose cultivator, and can only cultivate bitterly. Otherwise, there's no way out. Xiaohua replied. Everyone sat down. Kai Hasong said. Today is the day of Wuxia's funeral. I don't know if fellow Taoist Xiao has time to go see Wuxia again? Hearing this, Xiaohua also sighed and nodded. There's no need for Senior Kai to remind me. I will definitely go. And fellow Taoist Xiao has been extremely benevolent to my Kai family. My Kai family also has nothing to repay you. If fellow Taoist Xiao has any requests, feel free to state them. Kai Haisong looked at the few clan brothers beside him and said. That's right, fellow Taoist Xiao. If you don't mind, you can also join my Kai family. Not to mention other things, Kai family's cultivation techniques can also be taught to fellow Taoist. Kai Fengsong echoed. Xiaohua had a smile on his face. He bowed and said, Many thanks for Senior Kai's kindness. Junior admits that his aptitude is lacking and does not dare to drag down Kai family's reputation. Then, Wuxia's storage pouch Kai Shansong couldn't help but ask. Seniors, rest assured. Since I have promised something, I will definitely do it. After I pay my respects to fellow Taoist Kai, I will hand over the storage pouch to Senior Kai. Xiaohua's gaze fell on Kai Haisong. However, I will bring fellow Taoist Kai's body and storage pouch to the Kai family. Fellow Taoist Kai has also promised Junior some things. When the time comes, I ask Senior Kai to seeing this. Kai Haisong clapped his hands and praised. Fellow Taoist Zhao's righteousness, my Kai family will never forget it. This is only a small matter. Since Wuxia made a promise, it will be the same as I made a promise. Only now did Kai Haisong's heart drop. Since Xiaohua has raised the conditions, then everything will be easy to handle. I don't dare. Senior Kai, please lead the way. Junior will see fellow Taoist Kai for the last time. Xiaohua stood up and said. Kai Wuxia's mourning hall was located in a corner of the manor. A blue stone coffin was placed in the center of the mourning hall. Dozens of Kai family's women, children, and disciples were all dressed in mourning clothes as they silently stood around the coffin. Xiaohua sighed and walked to the front of the blue stone coffin. He saw that Kai Wuxia's body had already been tidied up. She had changed into a beautiful set of clothes. Her fine black hair was bundled up on top of her head like clouds. Her jade-like face had thin black eyebrows and long eyelashes. She looked as if she was sleeping soundly. It seemed like the Kai Wuxia Xiaohua was familiar with was a completely different person. Fellow Taoist Kai, you have such a beautiful face, yet why did you practice some kind of appearance-changing technique? Could it be that you don't want people to judge people by their appearance? Xiaohua said inwardly. But, in this world, not to mention mortals, even cultivators mostly judge people by their appearance. Your way of doing things. What meaning is there in it? As Xiaohua thought this, he retreated a few steps and bowed deeply towards Kai Wuxia's coffin. The Kai family's women standing beside Kai Wuxia's coffin also bowed in return. Just when Xiaohua wanted to open his mouth to say something, the entire mourning hall suddenly became silent. It was as if everyone's head had turned towards the entrance of the mourning hall. Chapter 1460. Xiaohua sensed that there was something strange outside the mourning hall, and turned his head along with everyone else. Xiaohua's gaze fell on a tall and slender woman dressed in plain Taoist robes who was about 30 meters away from the mourning hall, slowly walking over. The woman's black hair was tied up at the top of her head with a jade hairpin. Long strands of black hair fluttered behind her head like a fluttering ponytail. Looking at the woman's fair and jade-like face, it was exactly the shape of a melon seed. She had a smooth forehead, a sharp chin and 2 willow leaf-like eyebrows. At this moment, her beautiful eyes were filled with sorrow. She had a slightly erect nose, and her small cherry-like lips were tightly clenched by her pearly white teeth. A row of faint white teeth marks fell on her lips, gradually suffusing the color of blood. It was dusk, and the sun was setting in the west. Behind the woman, she looked as if she had walked out of a blood-red sunset. The color of blood dyed the woman's Taoist robe red. The color of blood reflected the woman's lustrous white skin, revealing a peach blossom red. It was truly enchanting. Red Dawn Fairy. Although Xiaohua had never seen Red Dawn Fairy before, this was the first time he saw her. Then, Xiaohua's gaze fell on a red beauty marked the size of a mung bean on the left side of Red Dawn Fairy's mouth. Boom! Xiaohua's mind went blank. Dream, Xiaohua could not help but moan softly. Faced with everyone's gazes, Red Dawn Fairy turned a deaf ear. Her eyes were fixed on Kai Wuxia's greenstone coffin. There were no words on the mourning hall, and no one told her who was in the coffin. But she knew it was Kai Wuxia. Step by step, she stepped on the soil, and then the grass. Kai Wuxia's heart was heavy, and her footsteps were steady. When she reached the mourning hall, Kai Haisong and the rest hurried to greet her. Seeing that Red Dawn Fairy had already reached Qi Refining Level 10, Kai Haisong and the rest were shocked. Red Dawn, you've really reached Qi Refining Level 10? Only now did Fairy Hongxia's gaze move away from Kai Wuxia's coffin. She looked at Kai Haisong and smiled bleakly. She bowed and said, "Daughter greets father. Thanks to father and sister, I've finally reached the 10th level of Qi Refining." Good. Kai Haisong didn't know why, but he suddenly felt sorrow in his heart. A teardrop flowed out of his eyes, but he clenched his teeth and held it back. Closing his eyes for a moment, he waved his hand and said, "You, go take another look at your sister. Today is the day of her funeral." Elder sister Fairy Hongxia could no longer hold it in. 2 streams of tears flowed down her delicate cheeks as she quickly walked over to Kai Wuxia's coffin. Fairy Hongxia reached out and held Kai Wuxia's cold hand. Looking at the face that she had known since childhood, the countless words in her heart were stuck in her throat. After a long while, Fairy Hongxia turned her head and asked, "Father, who brought big sister's body back? How did she die?" "Oh, Wuxia's body was brought back by fellow Taoist Xiao. Fellow Taoist Xiao has already told me everything. After you pay your respects, father will tell you everything in detail." Kai Haisong pointed at Xiaohua. At this moment, Xiaohua woke up from his shock and looked at Fairy Hongxia, not knowing what to do. Fairy Hongxia didn't care about Xiaohua's gaze and bowed. "Many thanks for fellow Taoist Xiao's righteousness. If it's convenient, I would like to ask fellow Taoist Xiao to stay for a few more days. I would like to ask clearly." Xiaohua hurriedly bowed and said, It's fine. If fellow Taoist Xiao has any questions, feel free to ask. And then fellow Taoist Xiao, please go and rest first. After I'm done with big sister's matter, I would like to pay you a visit," Kai Wuxia said with a forced smile. "All right, fellow Taoist Kai, please." Xiaohua bowed and walked out of the mourning hall. Under the guidance of the Kai family disciples, he frowned and walked back to the small building. This fairy Wuxia. This should be the first time I've seen her, right? Although her face is devastatingly beautiful, she is also unfamiliar to me. But why do I feel a sense of familiarity when I see her? Dream. Who is that? Is it a female cultivator? Xiaohua walked all the way but still couldn't figure it out. After entering the small building, he didn't have the mood to cultivate. He walked to the second floor and looked at the setting sun in the west. There was still a trace of red in the sky, and he was in a daze. Slowly, Xiaohua seemed to enter a mysterious state. His entire mind was like the heavenly Tao that was immersed in space. It wanted to escape from his body, but after flying a few times, it seemed like it couldn't leave his body. Right in front of his chest, where his Dantian was, and where his Naiwan palace was, there seemed to be two incomparably huge objects that were firmly suppressing them. And in the few moments when Xiaohua's mind tried to escape from his body, the meridians in his body also seemed to be itching to give it a try. They actually had the intention of swimming. The dragon transformation art was actually circulating on its own without Xiaohua's consciousness. Fellow Taoist Xiao, what seemed like an instant or a long time. Xiaohua's dazed state was awakened by a voice. Fairy Wuxia? Xiaohua's mind and body were in sync. He instantly woke up and looked around. It was already deep into the night. The bright moon in the sky sprinkled its brilliance on the small building, on Xiaohua's body, and even on the ground below the small building. Fairy Wuxia was standing on the ground, looking up at Xiaohua. Seeing Fairy Wuxia's appearance, Xiaohua couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Fairy Wuxia was already incomparably beautiful under the twilight. Under the moonlight, she could only be described as overshadowing the moon and putting the flowers to shame. Fellow Taoist Kai, may I enter? Fairy Wuxia's voice was a little hoarse, but it sounded very pleasant, like the rustling sound of the wind in a bamboo forest. Fellow Taoist Kai, please. Xiaohua calmed his mind and said softly, Many thanks, fellow Taoist. Fairy Wuxia's figure flew up to the second floor. She cupped her hands and said, It's already late. Sorry for disturbing fellow Taoist I. No worries. I also have a lot on my mind. I can't sleep or cultivate. Fellow Taoist's visit is also a coincidence. Xiaohua sighed. In that case, I would like to hear how fellow Taoist met I's elder sister, and how I's elder sister passed away. Fairy Wuxia said faintly. Yes, this is what I wanted to tell fellow Taoist. Xiaohua looked around. However, before I tell you, I would like to ask the surrounding Kai family disciples to go back and rest. Well said. Fairy Wuxia waved her hand and transmitted her voice. You all can go back first. Yes. The dozen or so disciples all responded and left separately. Can fellow Taoists speak now? Fairy Wuxia asked softly. Actually, it's nothing much. Most of the things I have already told Senior Kai. Xiaohua thought for a while and slowly told Fairy Wuxia everything that had to do with Kai Wuxia, starting from when he first met her. However, Xiaohua hesitated a few times about Li Zongbao and Ling Jingyi. In the end, he didn't say anything. After all, the Utopia faction and the Misty Mountain were not people that the Kai family could afford to offend. The less they knew, the less danger they would be in. Oh, Fairy Wuxia looked at the gradually white sky and said softly, I didn't expect fellow Taoist Xiao to have such a deep relationship with my elder sister. I think my elder sister must have. Don't. Xiaohua hurriedly waved his hand and said hurriedly, Fairy Wuxia, please don't say that. I know what fellow Taoist is thinking about. This person is someone else. Just like the place where fellow Taoist Kai passed away, it's a taboo. If I can't get the approval of that person, I wouldn't dare to say anything. Fairy Wuxia's beautiful eyes widened. Could it be fellow Taoist Kai? Just remember that I don't have that kind of relationship with your elder sister. Xiaohua hurriedly explained. Fellow Taoist, I understand. Fairy Wuxia looked at Xiaohua differently. If fellow Taoist Xiao isn't that person, then fellow Taoist, I admire your righteousness even more. I wouldn't dare. Fellow Taoist Kai also took care of I. I promised her one last thing. How could I not do it? Xiao Hua said sincerely. I heard from father that elder sister's storage bag. Fairy Hongxia asked hesitantly. That's right. Fellow Taoist Kai asked I to hand it to you personally. She also has some things to tell you personally. Xiao Hua nodded. He looked around and said, if it's convenient, please find a quiet place to talk. Okay. Seeing Xiao Hua's solemn expression, Fairy Hongxia said, then follow I to the place where I secluded myself. Fairy Hongxia's secluded cultivation place was not within the manor. It was far away on a small mountain that was connected to the Yang Cauldron Mountain. After entering the cave, there was a sweet fragrance in the spacious and clean cave. Xiao Hua could not help but take a few deep breaths. After Fairy Hongxia opened the cave's restriction, he raised his hand and said, fellow Taoist Xiao, please take a seat. This is the place where my Kai family's senior secluded herself. The restriction of the cave is quite powerful. If fellow Taoist has any secrets, feel free to tell me. Okay. Xiao Hua sat cross-legged on the futon. He took out the storage bag from his sleeves and handed it over. This is fellow Taoist Kai's storage bag. Fairy Hongxia, please keep it well. Seeing the familiar storage bag, Fairy Hongxia's eyes could not help but redden. She reached out and took it. She opened it sadly. After all, these were Kai Zhuoxia's belongings. How could she not think of her when she looked at them? However, when Fairy Hongxia saw the contents of the storage bag, she was dumbfounded. After a long while, she raised her head in shock and said, Fellow Taoist Xiao, is this my elder sister's belongings? Xiao Hua nodded solemnly. This is indeed fellow Taoist Zhao's storage bag. The items inside are also fellow Taoist Zhao's. I'm sure fellow Taoist Hongxia understands your elder sister's painstaking efforts. You should also understand why I want to hand this over to fellow Taoist. This, dozens of Peiyuan pill, hundreds of marrow cleansing pills, dozens of foundation establishment pills, so many rare yellow talismans, hundreds and thousands of supreme-grade spirit stones, and so many miscellaneous items. These are all priceless. Fairy Hongxia was still in shock. She continued to stammer and say incoherently, Elder sister, where did you get them from? Chapter 1461. Hearing Fairy Hongxia's question, Xiao Hua did not answer directly. Instead, he continued, the items left behind by your sister are not all in this storage bag. Ah, what else is there? Fairy Hongxia's eyes flashed with surprise. There is also a set of embryonic breathing pills. Currently, Xuanyan sect is still asking for help to refine it. As for how many there are, I do not know. I can only give it to you after half a year when I retrieve it. Embryonic breathing pills? Hearing this, Fairy Hongxia's eyes were filled with joy. However, she bit her lips and asked incredulously, Fellow Taoist Xiao, I do not understand. These items, although they cannot be compared to all of an aristocratic family, they are not too far off. Fellow Taoist, why do you not have any greed in your heart? Fellow Taoist has brought back my sister's body. My Kai family is already grateful to you. You only need to return the items that my sister normally uses to my Kai family in the storage bag. These items. Who would know? Who would investigate if fellow Taoist took them? Xiao Hua shook his head and said, Others may not know, but I know. The heavens know, the earth knows, and my conscience knows. Although this penniless Taoist is an itinerant cultivator and lacks these things, this penniless Taoist will definitely take what belongs to this penniless Taoist. This penniless Taoist will definitely not take what does not belong to this penniless Taoist, or should not belong to this penniless Taoist. Whatever one does, the heavens are watching. Good, whatever one does, the heavens are watching. Fairy Hongxia clapped her hands and praised. A strange glow appeared on her face. Actually, fellow Taoist Xiao, does your storage bag have the same items? Fairy Hongxia stared at Xiao Hua for a moment and suddenly asked. This Xiao Hua's face was slightly red. He nodded and said, To be honest, Fairy Hongxia, that is exactly the case. And fellow Taoist Xiao, you don't need to call me Fairy. If you don't mind, you can just call me fellow Taoist Hongxia. Fairy Hongxia pursed her lips and said, Actually, fellow Taoist Xiao has said so much. It seems that only at 1,000 feet peak can we obtain these items. Although fellow Taoist Xiao did not say it in detail, and I do not wish to ask, I can guess. Oh. Xiao Hua smiled bitterly. I said too much. Fellow Taoist Xiao didn't say much. In fact, even if fellow Taoist didn't say anything, any cultivator who saw you return so many things without keeping anything would think that fellow Taoist Xiao has more things than these. Isn't that right, fellow Taoist? Looking at Fairy Hongxia's bright and spirited eyes, Xiao Hua's gaze flickered as he whispered, Fairy Hongxia. Fellow Taoist, your sister's actions are magnanimous and her character is elegant. I felt that the Kai family must be different from ordinary cultivation families, so I didn't think too much about it. Sigh, fellow Taoist Xiao is truly adorable. After Fairy Hongxia finished speaking, she suddenly felt that there was something wrong with her words. Her face started to heat up unnaturally. Xiao Hua scratched his head and said, Fellow Taoist Hongxia, what do you mean? We only know our own business. Needless to say, even this poor Taoist's heart warmed when he saw it, let alone others. Sai, big sister asked you to personally hand this storage pouch over to I guess this is what she meant. Fairy Hongxia said faintly. Oh, that's right. Xiao Hua's forehead was suddenly covered in sweat. Thinking about it carefully, if he really handed this thing over to Kai Haisong, there might not be any accidents. Fortunately, I don't have to use these things to test my impression of the Kai family. Xiao Hua thought to himself. Oh right, fellow Taoist, since you return the storage pouch, my big sister wouldn't not give you any benefits, right? Fairy Hongxia asked softly. Is it our Kai family's heirloom cultivation technique? Xiao Hua's heart skipped a beat. He raised his head and looked at Fairy Hongxia calmly and whispered, What if your sister promised is the Kai family's cultivation technique? Fairy Hongxia smiled faintly and said firmly, What big sister promised is also what the Kai family promised. Of course, I will give it to you. But fellow Taoist Hongxia doesn't seem to be the family head. Xiao Hua asked with interest. I'm not the clan leader, but I'm still at the 10th level of qi refining, right? Fairy Hongxia was about to explain, but when she saw the smile in Xiao Hua's eyes, she immediately came to a realization. The corner of her mouth slanted, and she said with a smile, Looks like fellow Taoist is teasing me. As soon as the word teasing left her mouth, Fairy Hongxia's face turned red again. Isn't this word a bit too sensitive? Xiao Hua also noticed the blush on Fairy Hongxia's face. He couldn't help but think of the day when Kai Wuxia wanted to introduce him to Fairy Hongxia. His heart trembled slightly, and he felt extremely regretful. Then he immediately calmed down and said, Fellow Taoist Hongxia, don't be afraid. Your sister only promised you a cultivation technique that can cover your face. Oh, so it's the stealing the sky sun technique that big sister has been cultivating since she was young. Fairy Hongxia heaved a sigh of relief. She turned around and took out a small booklet and handed it to Xiao Hua, saying, This cultivation technique is not passed down in my Kai family. It was obtained by my ancestor when he was young. Giving it to fellow Taoist Xiao is suitable. Many thanks, fellow Taoist Hongxia. Xiao Hua was overjoyed. He took the booklet, but looking at this booklet with no cover and no end, Xiao Hua was a bit stunned. Oh, the name Stealing the Sky Sun was given by big sister herself. This is a nameless cultivation technique. The incantation is obscure and difficult to understand. I looked at it for a long time, but did not gain any insights. Only big sister seems to have an affinity with this cultivation technique. However, I heard big sister say that she only comprehended the first 2 pages of this booklet. There are still many pages in the back that she could not comprehend at all. So it's like this. Xiao Hua smiled and kept the booklet in his storage bag. Fairy Hongxia clapped her hands and took out a dark green jade pendant from her storage bag. She handed it over and said with a smile, This is I's token. Please accept it. If there is news about the embryonic breathing pill, fellow Taoists can bring the token to me. As she spoke, Fairy Hongxia's cheeks blushed a little more. In that delicate white skin, it was delicate and beautiful. Xiao Hua's heart skipped a beat. He reached out and took the jade pendant. The jade pendant was warm, and didn't seem like it was taken out from a storage bag. After keeping the jade pendant, Xiaohua scratched his head and took out a 1,000 miles sound transmission talisman. He injected his magic power and handed it over. This is I's sound transmission talisman. If fellow Taoist has any matters, you can call me at any time. What matters could a Qi refining stage level 10 cultivator have with a Qi refining stage level 4 loose cultivator? However, Fairy Hongxia still accepted it solemnly. Oh right, I still have something to tell you. I almost forgot to say it. Xiaohua suddenly slapped his forehead and said hurriedly, there is a bamboo token in the storage bag that was given to fellow Taoists by your big sister. Without waiting for Xiaohua to finish, Fairy Hongxia's face changed. She raised her head and looked outside. At the same time, a faint spiritual sense passed through the Kai family's cultivation cave and swept over Xiaohua and Fairy Hongxia. Fairy Hongxia's face was like ice. She scolded in a low voice. That faint spiritual will swept across Xiaohua and Fairy Hongxia and immediately locked onto Xiaohua. Although Fairy Hongxia was already a Qi refining stage level 10 cultivator, she still did not have a spiritual sense. The reason why she could sense the intruder was because the intruder's spiritual sense had broken through the cave's restriction. Little girl, this elder is here. Why aren't you two coming out to welcome me? An arrogant voice came from midair, as if it was speaking beside the two's ears. Grand Elder? Fairy Hongxia heard the voice and her face changed slightly. She looked at Xiaohua and said in a low voice, this is Qingyang Kai family's Kai Hongfeng, Grand Elder Kai. He is an early foundation establishment stage cultivator and is a famous expert of the Kai family. He, the old man, is usually cultivating on Qingyang Mountain. Why is he here at Luyang? Kai family's Grand Elder? Xiaohua heard and his face turned pale. Fairy Hongxia did not know why, but how could he not know? Fellow Taoist Xiao. Fairy Hongxia noticed the change in Xiaohua's face and asked in surprise. Could it be? Xiaohua narrowed his eyes and raised his head to look at the ceiling of the cave abode. The divine sense had been locked onto him, making it impossible for him to escape. Fellow Taoist Hongxia, let's go out. This is a matter between I and Qingyang Kai family. It has nothing to do with Luyang Kai family. It's better if fellow Taoist does not know. I see. Fairy Hongxia bit her lips and nodded. Fellow Taoist, please follow I. Fairy Hongxia saw that Xiaohua did not relent and knew that this was not an easy matter. She had no choice but to open the cave abode's restriction. The two of them flew into midair. At this time, the sky was already bright. A red sun was shooting out from the clouds in the distance. In midair, an old man dressed in a Taoist robe with white hair and a youthful face stood arrogantly with his hands behind his back. Beside the old man was a furious Kai Wuxia who was staring at Xiaohua, who had just flown up. In front of the old man, Kai Haisong, Kai Fengsong and the rest were already standing respectfully. The other young disciples of the Kai family were standing respectfully on the ground, looking at the sky with admiration. Grand Elder, it's this guy. He's Xiaohua. He colluded with Luyang's Kai Wuxia to frame my sister. Kai Wuxia did not wait for Xiaohua to fly up and said impatiently, not only did this Luyang Kai family not help our Qingyang Kai family to kill the main culprit, but they colluded with him. How could they put our Qingyang Kai family in their eyes? Grand Elder, please kill him to establish your might. Wuxia. What are you saying? Kai Haifeng was shocked and said anxiously, my Wuxia went out to travel 3 years ago and has not returned. A few days ago, this fellow Taoist Xiao brought back bad news. Wuxia had already died and her body was brought back to our Kai family. What you said, fellow Taoist Xiao did not mention a word. If Kai Wuxia deserved to die, he colluded with Xiaohua. Kai Wuxia scolded angrily. Unfortunately, before she could finish, Fairy Hongxia raised her eyebrows and scolded, Kai Wuxia, shut the hell up. Not to mention that my elder sister is no longer in this world. Your filthy words are a disgrace to her reputation. Moreover, all the seniors are here. What right do you have to speak? You dare to scold me? Kai Wuxia was furious and almost jumped up. Shut up. Kai Hongfeng's face darkened and scolded. Kai Wuxia has indeed passed away. The dead should be respected. Let's go pay our respects. Chapter 1462. Kai Zhuoxia's body was supposed to be buried yesterday, but because Fairy Hongxia came out of seclusion, it was delayed for a day. Kai Hongfeng scanned with his divine sense and knew that Fairy Hongxia's words were true. Why should I? Kai Yuxia was flustered and exasperated. She wanted to say something, but when she saw Kai Hongfeng's frosty face and his descending figure, she could only grit her teeth and fly down. Kai Haisong and the others looked at each other, then at Fairy Hongxia and Xiaohua. They opened their mouths, not knowing whether to ask. Father, let's go down too. Fairy Hongxia pursed her lips and looked at the two people in front of her. No one knew what she was thinking, but she waved her hand and said. At this time, Fairy Hongxia's cultivation was already at Qi refining stage 10, slightly higher than Kai Hasong and the others. Her words carried weight in the Kai family, and now they were even more powerful. Sigh, Kai Haisong sighed. His eyes filled with regret, and landed on the ground. Xiaohua coldly looked at Kai Hongfeng's behavior. He was somewhat conflicted in his heart. At this moment, he actually had the intention to escape. However, Kai Hongfeng's divine sense had been locked onto him. He wasn't sure if he could outrun an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator. Moreover, he had killed Kai Yingxia in the Huanhua sex selection, so he was protected by the rules of the Huanhua sex selection. Xiaohua still hoped that Kai Hongfeng would have misgivings about the Huanhua sect and let him live, but he was afraid that he would anger Kai Hongfeng if he escaped. And if he did not explain things clearly, Kai Yuxia would definitely vent her anger on the Kai family. Wouldn't he cause trouble for them? After thinking for a moment, Xiaohua secretly held a yellow talisman in one hand and a top-grade spirit stone in the other, and flew down with the others. Although Fairy Hongxia was walking in front, she also turned her head and looked at Xiaohua with a complicated expression. Kai Zhuoxia's coffin was still in the morning hall, but the lid had been sealed. Kai Hongfeng did not ask anyone to open the coffin. He walked to the front of the coffin and bowed slightly as a greeting. Kai Yuxia gritted her teeth and bowed half as a greeting. After the Kai family disciples returned the greeting, Kai Hongfeng turned his head and said with a smile, I'm sure nephew Kai is still confused about why I'm here? Kai Haisong smiled apologetically and said, I really don't know. What Xiaohua said just now is also the first time this nephew has heard it. And this old man believes in you. No matter what, you are still a nephew of my Kai family. You would never do something like betray your master and betray your ancestors. Yes, please take a seat in the hall here. No need, just stay here. Although Wuxia has already passed away, she was still involved in this matter after all. Letting her listen at the side can also make some people have some misgivings. Kai Hongfeng glanced at Xiaohua. Yes, I'll listen to Grand Elder's instructions. Kai Haisong responded. He called over the disciples of his family to set up the tables and chairs, and served up spirit fruits and spirit tea. All right, Xiaohua, tell me, why did you harm my Kai family's nephew? Kai Hongfeng narrowed his eyes and asked. Senior Kai, please know that this junior did not intentionally harm Kai Yingxia's life. Xiaohua took half a step forward in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing as he cupped his hands and said, Hee, you killed my Kai family's nephew and you dare say it wasn't intentional? Then it's normal for me to kill you. Kai Hongfeng released his pressure, causing Xiaohua's heart to tremble, almost unable to stand. Forcefully clenching his teeth, Xiaohua smiled apologetically and said, Please allow this junior to explain. Speak, Kai Hongfeng said coldly. Thus, Xiaohua narrated the matter of him and Kai Zhuoxia participating in the Huanhua sex selection in full detail. Previously, when he told the Kai family, he did not mention Kai Yuxia and Kai Yingxia. Now he explained everything clearly. Hearing this, Hongxia Fairy's face was gloomy. How could she not know Kai Yuxia and Kai Yingxia's intentions? Fortunately, Xiaohua's luck was good, and his cultivation was also outstanding, so he did not die unjustly. With your cultivation? How could you be a match for me and Yingxia? If you didn't pull Kai Zhuoxia as a helper, how could you kill Yingxia? Kai Yuxia glanced at Kai Hongfeng, who was frowning slightly, and immediately shouted. Xiaohua stared at Kai Yuxia for a long time and said in a deep voice, I don't know how fellow Kai deceived Senior Kai. However, since we are all participating in the Huanhua sect's selection in the back mountain, according to the rules, we are responsible for our own life and death. Regardless of whether I cooperated with fellow Kai Wuxia or not, we were still protected by the rules of the Huanhua sect. If fellow Kai revealed this matter, and the Huanhua sect found out, I'm afraid there would be endless trouble in the future. As expected, Kai Wuxia was somewhat anxious. How could she tell Kai Hongfeng the truth? If she was really in the right, she was afraid that the one who came now would not be the great elder who usually doted on her, but the many disciples of the Kai family in Qingyang. However, she did not expect that great elder Kai Hongfeng would actually give Xiaohua a chance to speak, and not kill Xiaohua as soon as they arrived in Liang. In fact, Kai Hongfeng was also secretly complaining in his heart. He originally thought the same as Kai Wuxia, that a fourth-layer qi refining individual cultivator would be like squashing an ant. However, he was a bit puzzled. Xiaohua and Kai Wuxia, one of them was a fourth-layer qi refining cultivator, while the other was a fifth-layer qi refining cultivator. They should not be Kai Wuxia's and Kai Yingxia's opponents. Kai Wuxia only said that she was ambushed by the two of them, which puzzled him. Secondly, he scanned the area with his divine sense, and found that Xiaohua was actually in the Kai family in Liang with Fairy Hongxia. Moreover, Kai Wuxia's coffin was placed in the mourning hall, which was not in the information he received. Therefore, he asked a few more questions, but it was precisely because of these few questions that he brought the Huanhua sect into the picture. This matter was neither big nor small. If the Huanhua sect were to take it seriously, they would be giving the other party face, and it was possible that they would destroy the Kai family in Qingyang. After pondering for a moment, Kai Hongfeng said, Wuxia has her reasons for what she said, and Xiaohua has his reasons for what he said. I can't listen to Wuxia, and I can't listen to Xiaohua either. Bad. Xiaohua's heart turned cold. Sure enough, Kai Hongfeng said coldly, since the reputation of the Kai family's nephew has been ruined by Xiaohua's hands, I will take half a step back and only cripple Xiaohua's cultivation, but not take his life. Wait. Great Elder. As soon as Kai Hongfeng finished speaking, Fairy Hongxia stepped forward and bowed. In our cultivation, the most important thing is to cultivate the heart. If we do not have a clear conscience, there is no hope for the great Tao in this life. What Xiaohua said is true, and Sister Wuxia also participated in the Huanhua sect's disciple selection. Since Great Elder is unable to judge, why don't we go to the Huanhua sect and ask? Hongxia, you are helping an outsider. Kai Hongfeng said coldly. I have already spared Xiaohua's life, are you not satisfied? I dare not. Hongxia is only a junior, and I dare not do anything that goes against the Kai family. I only feel that in this world, there is always a reason, and there is only one truth for everything. If Great Elder really wants to get to the bottom of it, and find the real reason for Sister Yingxia's death. If I don't want to find the reason, what reason? If I just want to seek justice? Hongxia, is your Liang Kai family going to protect this little rogue cultivator? Kai Hongfeng coldly interrupted Fairy Hongxia's words. This Fairy Hongxia looked at Xiaohua, then looked at the anxious Kai Haisong, and hesitated. However, when she saw Kai Wuxia's bluestone coffin, her eyes flashed with a trace of determination, and she said with a sad smile, How can I, a little girl, make the decision for the Kai family of Liang? It's just that. Xiaohua, who was standing at the side, heard this and his heart warmed. He interrupted Fairy Hongxia and smiled. Fairy Hongxia, I only said half of it and there is still the other half. Fairy Hongxia, please wait for I to finish. It won't be too late to continue. Fairy Hongxia was stunned, and her two big eyes blinked a few times. Puzzled, she said, then, fellow Taoist Xiao, please continue. Okay, Xiaohua cleared his throat and told her what happened in the Huanhua sect's main hall. He then smiled and said, Do you think that boy is lucky? The penultimate good fate token of the Huanhua sect is the one with the bamboo engraved on it. He actually got it, and he even found a gold core stage cultivator to be his master. If a cultivator gets the last good fate token, won't they be able to enter the sect of a nascent soul stage cultivator? Boom. Fairy Hongxia's mind went blank. Her heart was the same as Kai Wuxia's that day. There were only 3 words in her heart. Good fate token, good fate token, good fate token. A voice came from the bottom of Fairy Hongxia's heart. I actually got the last good fate token of the Huanhua sect. An ice-cold feeling spread from her skin to her heart. That was extreme excitement and extreme surprise. Her pair of beautiful eyes stared motionlessly at Xiaohua, not looking at her eyes. She really couldn't imagine, this Xiaohua. How could he be so magnanimous, to actually hand over the good fate tablet that would allow her to enter the Huanhua sect so easily? If he had it, wouldn't he have entered the Huanhua sect long ago? Who would be afraid of this Kai Hongfeng who wanted to take his life? Humph, he has the good fate token, that's his luck. How could a small rogue cultivator like you have this kind of luck? Kai Wuxia sneered. You're talking about this matter. Could it be that you're waiting for some helper? Hee hee, your helper is already lying in a coffin, unable to protect you anymore. Is that so? Xiaohua raised his eyebrows and sneered. Even if there's no helper, I can easily kill you. While speaking, Xiaohua's body suddenly rushed forward, his fist aimed at Kai Wuxia's neck. Kai Wuxia already knew that Xiaohua's movements were fast, so she was already prepared. However, Xiaohua was really too fast, and she relied on Kai Hongfeng behind her, so she still slacked a bit. Just this bit of slack was enough for Xiaohua to grab Kai Wuxia's neck. Unfortunately, Xiaohua still underestimated the divine ability of a foundation establishment cultivator. Although Kai Hongfeng was only in the early stage of foundation establishment, his cultivation was definitely not something that Xiaohua could imagine. Xiaohua's fist had just touched Kai Wuxia's skin when a cold snort came, as if it was echoing in Xiaohua's mind. Xiaohua's extended arm could no longer move forward even half an inch. Xiaohua was waiting for this opportunity. When his right arm couldn't move, Xiaohua's other hand had already poured magic power into the yellow talisman. At this moment, he turned his hand over, and with a flash of brilliance, Xiaohua's body sank into the ground. Chapter 1463. Trying to escape? How can there be such an easy thing? Kai Hongfeng sneered. His figure straightened slightly, his divine sense still locked onto Xiaohua. It was unknown what divine ability Kai Hongfeng used, but Xiaohua's hand was stuck on Kai Wuxia's neck, unable to move at all. If this young master wants to leave, can you stop me? Xiaohua also sneered. That arm of his forcefully pulled back. Kacha! Kacha! A series of crisp sounds rang out. The brilliance shattered like glass. Xiaohua's arm actually broke the restriction that Kai Hongfeng had casually laid down. Ouch! Kai Hongfeng was shocked and unconsciously stood up. However, just as Kai Hongfeng stood up, Xiaohua's figure once again sank into the ground, disappearing. Very good, it's just as Wuxia said. This old man's judgment was still somewhat off. Kai Hongfeng also slapped his hand, and an earth escape talisman was placed on his body. His figure flashed, and he was about to escape into the ground. Disciples of the Kai family, quickly assist the great elder. Don't let Xiaohua escape from our Kai family manor. Kai Haisong shouted from the side. Yes, not only the disciples, but Kai Hasong and the rest also flew up, and flew out of the morning hall. Hearing Kai Haisong's order, Kai Hongfeng nodded slightly, and then disappeared into the ground. Wuxia, you wait in the morning hall for a moment. With my Kai family disciples here, that Xiaohua definitely won't dare to come out. After Kai Haisong finished speaking, he turned to Fairy Hongxia and said, Xiaohua is after all an outsider. Wuxia and Great Elder are the true descendants of our Kai family. You stay here and protect Wuxia. Don't let that bastard Xiaohua succeed. Fairy Hongxia saw her father's enthusiasm, and she already understood. She nodded and said, I will listen to father's orders. Oh, what about the matter I asked you to do yesterday? I haven't reported it to father yet. Kai Haisong, who was flying in the air, casually turned around and asked. That matter, it's already done. Father, don't worry. I will report the details to father later. Fairy Hongxia nodded. And good. Kai Haisong smiled and said, since that's the case, father can rest assured. After everyone had flown out of the morning hall, Fairy Hongxia cast a cold glance at Kai Wuxia. She walked to the side of Kai Wuxia's coffin and sat down cross-legged. Her eyes stared straight at the green stone coffin, and her gaze gradually became dazed. Kai Wuxia's face was a little pale. Xiaohua's fist just now had really frightened her. She believed without a doubt that if that fist had landed on her neck, her pink and white neck would definitely have been broken into two. This Xiaohua, just who is he? Is he really a rogue cultivator? Kai Wuxia thought to herself. She wanted to get closer to Fairy Hongxia, but she felt that it was inappropriate. Sitting on that chair was like sitting on pins and needles. At this moment, Xiaohua, who was bitterly hated by Kai Wuxia, was also having an extremely hard time. Although he had burrowed into the ground ahead of time, Kai Hongfeng's divine sense had been locked onto him. No matter where he went, Kai Hongfeng's divine sense was like maggots that latched onto his bones. No matter what, he could not shake it off. What should I do? Xiaohua immediately thought of the situation when he was being chased by heaven shaking heaven. Suddenly, Xiaohua's eyes lit up. He took out a flying talisman from the space and stuck it on his body. His figure quickly rushed towards the ground. Xiaohua was frightened, afraid of being captured by Kai Hongfeng. Little did he know that Kai Hongfeng, who was chasing behind him, was even more shocked. Who is he? A Foundation Establishment Stage Senior. Who is Xiaohua? A small rogue cultivator who had just reached Qi Refining Stage Level 4. Kai Hongfeng actually was unable to catch up to Xiaohua even after using 50% of his dermic powers. This was simply a naked slap to the face. Fortunately, Kai Hongfeng's divine sense had been locked onto Xiaohua, so he was not afraid that Xiaohua could escape. This old man wants to see where you can escape to. Without waiting for Kai Hongfeng to think, he saw Xiaohua actually flying towards the ground. This fellow, what is he trying to do? Could it be that he thinks he can fly faster than this old man? Kai Hongfeng secretly laughed. His figure also chased out. However, when he chased out of the ground, the Xiaohua in his divine sense completely stunned him. Xiaohua's flying speed in the air was much faster than when he was underground. If Kai Hongfeng still used 50% of his dermic powers, he really might not be able to catch up to Xiaohua. Damn it. This fellow wants to go to the Sunrise Mountain Range. Seeing the direction Xiaohua flew in, Kai Hongfeng cursed in his heart. He knew how powerful the Sunrise Mountain Range was. If he really let Xiaohua fly in, he might not be able to catch him. Therefore, he did not care about being reserved and used 70% of his dermic powers. Like a flash of light, he flew towards Xiaohua's figure. When Kai Hongfeng flew almost out of sight, Kai Haisong rushed over from afar. His face was filled with extreme shock as he looked into the distance. Big brother, should we still chase after him? Kai Haisong asked in a low voice. This Xiaohua is actually hiding his true strength. A small rogue cultivator of Qi Refining Stage Level 4. Even I can easily kill him. Who would have thought that he could actually escape from the Great Elder? Escape my ass! Kai Haisong scolded. Quickly go. This is the time for our Luyang Kai family to assist the Great Elder. How can we slack off? Yes, this little brother understands. Kai Haisong and the others also used their dermic powers and chased after him from afar. At this moment, Xiaohua had learned his lesson from the last escape. He held a flying talisman in one hand. The moment the flying talisman on his body lost its effect, he immediately used it again. In his space, there were still many flying talismans. Xiaohua thought that flying to the Sunrise Mountain Range would not be a problem. Xiaohua's other hand held a top-grade spirit stone. While absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth from the spirit stone, he silently used the raising fire to the heavens technique in his meridians to refine the spiritual energy that entered his body and replenish the consumed true qi. Unfortunately, Xiaohua still underestimated a Foundation Establishment cultivator. Kai Hongfeng pushed his dermic powers to the 7th layer, and his flying speed was already a bit faster than Xiaohua's. He was gradually shortening the distance between the two. Feeling Kai Hongfeng's divine sense lock onto him from strong to weak, and then from weak to strong, Xiaohua knew in his heart that the situation was not good. However, he was incomparably clear in his heart that all of his dermic powers were child's play in the eyes of a Foundation establishment cultivator. He could only rely on this unexpected flying secret technique. Even that secret technique of using strength to break through dermic powers could only be used when Kai Hongfeng was careless just now. He could no longer use it. After exchanging a few more flying talismans, the distance between Kai Hongfeng and Xiaohua shortened by half. Xiaohua clenched his teeth, took out an earth escape talisman, and once again escaped underground. He wanted to find a way to escape underground. Unfortunately, not long after, Xiaohua jumped out from underground again. In this short period of time, Kai Hongfeng had actually caught up to him by a lot. What do I do? What do I do? Xiaohua was somewhat alarmed. He felt that he was at the end of his rope. He felt that every inch Kai Hongfeng closed in on him was an inch closer to death. Dragon Transformation Art. Xiaohua suddenly seemed to have grabbed onto a life-saving straw. He staked everything on a single throw and madly operated the Dragon Transformation Art. He mobilized all of the meridians in his body, and rapidly refined the heaven and earth spiritual chi that was drawn into his body. Following the operation of the Dragon Transformation Art, Xiaohua's flying speed suddenly increased by 2 notches. Kai Hongfeng was shocked and thoroughly angered. He no longer cared about face and restraint, and urged his dermic powers to the 8th layer. This level of dermic powers, Kai Hongfeng also hadn't used it for many years. Xiaohua and Kai Hongfeng, one fleeing and one chasing. After a long time, Kai Hongfeng was already several tens of feet away from Xiaohua. Haha, Xiaohua, can you still escape? These several tens of feet was already the distance that Kai Hongfeng could use his dermic powers. Kai Hongfeng only needed to form a dermic seal, and Xiaohua could possibly fall. Sigh, Xiaohua sighed in his heart. Cultivation, is the way of the king. If this young master was also a Foundation establishment cultivator, the one escaping right now would probably be this scoundrel. Xiaohua's heart deflated, and his figure clearly slowed down. Looking at the desolate foothills in front of him, he slanted down. But just as Xiaohua's figure descended halfway, from a place in the foothills, a divine sense several times more tyrannical than Kai Hongfeng swept over. Xiaohua was greatly alarmed, and he almost wanted to cry. This was what it meant to have a wolf in front and a tiger behind. What should he do? Unexpectedly, a hoarse voice rang out at the side of his ear. It's you, a little wandering cultivator? That voice wasn't very familiar, but Xiaohua could distinguish that this voice belonged to the late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator, who had been transported here together with him. Senior, save me. At this moment, Xiaohua didn't dare to let go of any opportunity. Although he couldn't be certain that this late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator could definitely save him, he still shouted out, Is it that rotten old man behind me? That cultivator found it strange. You're a 4th-level chi condensation brat. How did you provoke a Foundation establishment cultivator to chase you down? And, from the looks of it, you actually ran for a long time? Oh right, how is your flying speed so fast? It's even faster than my Imperial Thunder Sect's lightning evasion technique? Imperial Thunder Sect? Xiaohua sounded very unfamiliar, and his figure had already landed on the foothills. Fellow Taoist, please. When Xiaohua was swept by the middle-aged cultivator's divine sense, Kai Hongfeng already knew that there was a late-stage Foundation establishment expert at the foothills. Thus he flew to the sky above the foothills, and didn't dare to descend, bowing and saluting. What business do you have? A voice rang out, but the cultivator didn't show himself. I wonder what relationship fellow Taoist has with this wandering cultivator? Kai Hongfeng asked respectfully. Since Xiaohua led you here, this old man is also waiting here. Do you think this old man has any relationship with Xiaohua? That voice was very cold. Xiaohua. Hearing that cultivator say Xiaohua's name, Kai Hongfeng's complexion turned ashen. He thought that this cultivator really was Xiaohua's old acquaintance, and promptly explained. Fellow Taoist misunderstood. I only wanted to capture Xiaohua for questioning. I have no other malice. Not waiting for Kai Hongfeng to finish speaking, that voice shouted loudly, Scram. This old man doesn't care so much. Since this old man has intervened, if you still don't leave, don't blame this old man for being ruthless. Yes, I will leave now. Kai Hongfeng's early-stage qi-refining divine sense was far inferior to that cultivator's. How could he still dare to stay here? As he spoke, he got up and left. Seeing Kai Hongfeng hastily running away like a stray dog, Xiaohua had a smile on his face. He walked to the foothills, bowed and said, "Many thanks for Senior's help. Senior, please show yourself." A pressure was released from somewhere at the foothills. It was so strong that Xiaohua suddenly fell to the ground, paralyzed. "Senior, what are you doing?" Xiaohua was greatly alarmed. He forcibly propped himself up, raised his head, and asked, "What am I doing? This old man wants to see your cultivation." That cultivator said indifferently, "This old man saved your life. How do you think you should repay me?" This Xiaohua smiled bitterly. Recalling the situation when he parted ways with that cultivator outside the transfer array, he knew that this cultivator wasn't easy to get along with. He could only smile and say, "Whatever Senior thinks I should repay you, this Junior will repay you accordingly." That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.